Hi everyone, welcome to the Race War and Everything. Doing this on a Monday, thankfully. I'm relaxing here late afternoon with a beer. It's very nice actually, and also got Nolsey and Fluoride here. How your day's going, boy?
Yeah, it's good. It's early enough. It's early enough that I might make it out of here before tomorrow.
Quiet for me.
Yeah, I didn't get much done. Are we the only ones who have this public holiday?
I was going to say, Florida, is it a public holiday for you?
If it was, I wasn't paying attention to it.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah. Probably not. Public holidays are normally state-specific.
Okay. Well, anyway, with that said, we will get started on the content, and we're going to start with our usual favorite topic, which is immigration. But we would like to kind of mix that with our commentary on Andrew Hastie, because it doesn't seem like anyone can stop talking about the guy all of a sudden. It's not just Drew Pavlou, who has a massive crush on him. It's a lot of people. So he did cause, you could say, a little bit of a stir, talking about the current levels of migration. He actually went so far as to say that Australians are becoming strangers in their own country due to migration. And also saying that the country must feel strange.
It's very tame language.
Yeah. I mean, look, very dog whistly kind of language there. I mean, he was only just beginning to scratch the surface, really. I mean, yes, of course. Like, people are looking at the Australia around them and just saying, this is not what I remember. This is not what Australia of my childhood was. I don't recognize this place anymore. It feels like I am actually a stranger in my own land. So I definitely resonate very much with what he's saying there. He also said that current levels of migration are unsustainable. Talking about the strain on infrastructure, on housing, on prices. He said, in the last 2 years, we've added nearly 1 million extra people to our population. Australians are feeling the impact of Labor's immigration policy. Well, sorry, Hastie, it's your immigration policy too. All right?
Yes.
Albo did not take power until 2022. It was Scott Morrison who actually led the first round of turbocharged migration to make up for the migration we lost during the pandemic. So if you want to talk about, when the real spike in housing prices and rent and cost of living and the new levels of net migration, that started under Scott Morrison, not Albo.
Yeah, I was going to say, and unfortunately as well, I'll just read out a quote from one of Hastie's tweets from, this is just the beginning of the post-COVID era in 2022. So it was October 5th, 2022. I love Australia. I've always thought our country is big and strong enough to be a home for people from all ethnicities, creeds, and religions. Our strength comes from our diversity. So this current line of rhetoric is very contemporary for him. In fact, I'd even say facetious.
Yeah, I mean, previously, though, he did make comments that some people think are based, and that was on the role of women in the military. And he said that rank-and-file soldiers should be made up of exclusively men. I remember that at the time, and it caused quite a stir. But, I mean, look, that's basically like the position of the Labor Party 10 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe saying that now might be a little outrageous, but there was a time where pretty much everyone agreed that, women have no place in the front line. And women agreed with that too, because they were quite happy to say, yeah, I don't think I would like to run into the battlefield and risk my own life.
Yeah, there's some good examples of in Ukraine, basically women's armed forces. Basically, it's hell for them out there. They have sanitary needs that are above and beyond the poor bastards who are basically just living in dirt huts. And to take that out of women's, fuck, just putting them in a torturous position that they can't handle. So nope.
Yeah, I mean, however much you may like Starship Troopers and the co-ed shower scene, I can't imagine a future that actually would look like that and be functional. It just wouldn't happen.
Well, that's how you turn a fucking war into a genocide. Because if your country loses fucking reproductive capacity after a war, even if you're the victorious party, guess what fucking happens?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean that's why post-war countries very often are able to fill their population back up quite quickly because of the fact that there are plenty of women to impregnate.
Yeah, it's called the baby boomers for a fucking reason.
Yeah, and unfortunately, after World War II, you had a shitload of rape babies too, because we all know that history. So yeah, I mean, this is actually like you can't present that to me and say this is like some super out there right wing fringe view or something. No, it was like actually a view that pretty much everyone had only a few years ago. So that's not enough for me. Now, I have been impressed with what he's doing on net zero. I think it's actually turned out to be a very good tactic to basically throw down the gauntlet and say, I'm going to go to the back bench and I am going to threaten the stability of your leadership if you don't seriously reconsider this, because me and the Nationals and plenty of the other Liberals don't like it, and the vast majority of Australians
are fucking suffering under it.
Suffering under it, and even if some of them may be concerned with the effects of climate change, look at the polls. Climate change is like at the bottom. Cost of living, housing, and immigration. They're the three issues that are at the top every single bloody time, and it's been like that for about 5 years now. They don't care about climate change.
Well, they've been
literally. I saw I saw two things. I saw a statement by our favorite Greek communist Cos saying like, oh well, there's only a pivot towards immigration because that's actually like a status regaining thing from the Liberals, and obviously the Liberals have lost status recently, so that's why they're pivoting towards immigration because they've lost so much. So I was like, well, no, they've lost so much because they weren't hard on immigration. I said this yesterday, and also I saw a leftist meme being passed around the left-leaning circles. They're trying to circulate this because it's if they can't win an argument with you and get you to be like, oh well, if the facts really aren't on their side, or if the material and analysis aren't on their side, what do? They shame you. And it's literally a meme saying, was it like 60 years worth of racial tolerance and projects for a more equal Australia being destroyed because the housing market's a little bit bad.
Yes. And there you post the ancient meme of the sideways face. Yes.
Yeah.
And look, people were saying all of this stuff about Peter Dutton as well. Okay, remember he comes from the so-called hard right of the Liberal Party, and going into the election that we had earlier this year, I mean, can anyone name like a single issue besides maybe a little bit on immigration where Peter Dutton fought the culture war? It just wasn't there. He did not talk about social cohesion being threatened by migration. He did not talk about African and Lebanese crime, even though he had previously talked about that as Home Affairs Minister. He did not talk about transgender rights going out of control. He kept everything to the economic sphere. And unfortunately for him, people are starting to actually see Labor as the superior economic managers. That previously that
what
was
Labor going to do to fix that? because
Yeah.
they probably don't want to be
longer.
seen as that.
No, I think that the Liberal Party very often is seen far too much as like simply representing big business and shitting on the little guy. And we saw that when Jane Hume talked about wanting to abolish work from home rights, and that just spectacularly backfired on the Libs. So we can see why they're failing on all these different fronts. Okay, so fast forward to Andrew Hastie now as like this new potential savior. Okay, he's been talking about reducing migration. So what? So did Dutton. And Dutton only talked about tinkering with it as well. And he also talked about only using temporary cuts. Well, that's not good enough. That is actually, forget saying Labor light. That basically just is the Labor Party position. I think we went through the new numbers, the migration numbers last week. Yes, migration is down compared to pre-pandemic levels. Is down compared to last year. But if you go to pre-pandemic levels, the most people that ever came into Australia, like net migration, was 220,000 people. Now it's like easily 500,000 each year.
Yep.
So you have to propose something radical, okay? This has to be something that, yes, everyone would call really extreme and fringe, where you would talk about, say, a net zero policy for migration. That's the only way you're really going to turn things around, you know? And yes, I still hope for mass deportations, but I just don't know how realistic that is.
I'm very happy that re-immigration has become a term that has been bandied about now. That is now a popular. That's becoming a household term.
Mainstream,
It
if
is.
you will.
Yeah, they're using it everywhere.
Yes.
Is it in the mainstream media? Are they calling these re-immigration protests? I think I might have seen something along the lines of that over in Britain, in England.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's
The
everywhere.
recent
It's
protests
in Ireland as well.
Yes, the recent protests have basically sparked this off, kicked this off.
Bloody gypsies. Now, of course, the only other thing that Andrew Hastie has talked about is restarting manufacturing of cars in Australia. Well, back when we still had Holden, Holden was already backed up by large government subsidies, and we did have protective tariffs still in place, albeit weaker than what they were prior to the Hawke Keating years. But still, even under that model, where they were privileged by a level of protectionism, Holden ended up just disappearing. We don't even have the brand anymore. Not only do we not manufacture them, but the Holden brand is gone. So
yeah,
I mean, I'd just like him to tell me. I'd be very receptive. I mean, do I like the idea of bringing car manufacturing back? Of course I do. But how is he going to do it? I'd like to see some detail.
There was some leftists and basically like anti-protectionists, like basically being like, I am saying fuck the industry, fuck the worker to own the rightoid, kind of statements.
By all means, go ahead.
There's people banding about this statement that like, oh well, Holden was receiving a subsidy of $50,000 per worker, and then when you actually go and break that down, it's like, oh, where'd you get this number? Oh, this Australian business fucking pack and etc. Okay, so what are they including in that number? Speculative losses because they couldn't import the cars. It's like, well. It's like, okay, so how much were they subsidizing workers, or were they subsidizing jobs towards the end? Yes, they were. What's the real amount? Well, the real objective amount is about $9,000 to $10,000 per worker on a salary of $60,000 on average per worker.
Yeah, that's all right. A nice little bit of garnish. But that they probably fathered in ancient old people from industries to do that. It'll take a whole lot of time to retrain everybody.
Oh yeah, that and the material supply, the logistics supply, everything down from bearings to brake lines, like logistics fucking nightmare.
need people building that down the line if you're not going to just import it. And then if we're just if we're IKEAing it together from all the bits that are given to us, why even have it done here?
Yeah, no, that's the point. You want to get with industry, right? You want to be as far up the production line as possible because that's how you make it the most worthwhile for your country. That's how you get every single step that is a value add in your country, and that's how you don't end up with fucking $12,000 worth of subsidy per worker. But we can't speak about that. And honestly, it's campaign fucking rhetoric. Let's not fucking bullshit here.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to fucking happen.
Hey, I'll give you jobs. Oh yeah, will you give us jobs? Who are you going to give jobs? Because you're not remigrating. You're not fucking giving us. If you do start it up, it's not going to us.
Yeah, the next if there's going to be a fucking car brand that is manufactured in Australia ever again, it's going to have a fucking eagle holding a fascist as its fucking bag.
Fuck yeah,
that'd be awesome. Hey, I've got a normie in the house. I had to go and close my door quickly.
Yeah, a terrible.
We put the normies keep outside.
You have to disinfect everything. It's not kosher, Finian. It's not kosher.
I'm going to keep my voice down a little bit. Okay, so just getting on to other matters of immigration. The deal that we have with Nauru, remember this deal? Yes. It costs over $400 million. Yes, we just planted that much money on them. And it probably we'll also, we'll help them spend it as well because we'll use it to build much of their infrastructure like we always do. Same with PNG. Yeah. But anyway, we do have some further details on what was going on here because it really did, with the amount of information that they released, it looked like we basically had spent over $400 million simply to resettle 3 refugees. So, they were previously being held in indefinite detention. One of them is that bisexual Kenyan who is arguing that Nauru is too backwards and he's going to face persecution.
Good. Go home.
I don't care. Yeah. No, he belongs in Kenya, not in Nauru either. I mean, yeah, I'd prefer to send him to Nauru, but really you should just go back to Kenya. And that's how these issues get come up in the first place, because they come here and then we say, oh, it's too dangerous for them to go back home. And then we just have to house them and accommodate them for the rest of their bloody lives.
Yeah, and allow them to do their horrible bloody crimes here. But here's the thing: is are they ramping up and getting ready for a whole bunch more people to head over to Nauru? I mean, right. Are they expecting forever and a half more people forever?
So the amount of people who are from that cohort. So remember, they're the people who were in indefinite detention, but then indefinite detention was ruled to be unconstitutional. 358 of them. Okay. Now, what is that? You're talking about more than $1 million per detainee. Okay. Yeah. My maths aren't very good, but that does not sound like a good deal to me. $1 million just to get rid of these people who had no right to be here in the first place.
Yeah, well, again, that $400 million is just the fucking start. I believe the entire deal is projected to be about $5 billion all up over the next couple of years.
Hell.
So we're paying them at basically $1 million a head a fucking year, a financial goddamn cycle.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this isn't the end of it.
No, it's not. But yeah, that's great. I wish we just had gigantic blenders we could push these people into.
They're very unlikely to find ongoing secure work in Nauru. I don't see that happen. And so, we may well be forced to kind of pay for their welfare as well. Very possible.
Red Crab Migration Logistics Officer. That's a hiring role in Nauru.
No fucking. Oh, it does make sense though, because they don't want the fucking things to die. I've seen the bridges. Have you seen those wacky bridges?
Yeah.
Person making sure those bridges go up so that they can go that way and then come back, and then you can tear down the bridges again.
Coconut crab burrito. That's another one. Actually, I'm
I
talking about.
They have coconut crabs on that fucking island.
Dude, they've got coconut crabs all over that fucking region.
Well, I guess wherever coconuts are found.
Yeah. I remember this was a clip out of Ireland, and this guy was going around interviewing all these like people who came in. There was this black guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like why are you here in Ireland?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I claimed asylum." He's like, "Oh, like what did you claim asylum for?" It's like, "Oh, I'm persecuted back in my home country, Ghana." And he's like, "Oh, like why? Is it like a religious thing?" He's like, "No, I'm gay. I'm gay." And then like the guy is like some kind of shit lib or something like that, right? So he continues the interview on, and and then surprise, towards the end of the interview, he's like starts catcalling, harassing this one girl on the street.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's something they make up. I mean, if they've got any intelligence, it's to tell lies that can be convenient and convincing. So yeah,
Which
I
have
mean,
been
this
given to
guy.
them by lawyers.
So yeah, I mean, this guy from Kenya. I mean, do we actually know that he's bisexual? I mean, I know blacks do have higher rates of sexual deviancy. That's true, but they're still a minority, and I've just got a lot of trouble believing that. And we hear it a lot from Iranians as well. Well, we hear it from everyone, all these non-whites who come over. And I mean, that's globo homo right there, isn't it? The fact that we pull in homosexuals, or at least people who say they're homosexuals, from the rest of the world, because we're apparently the only ones who are nice to them.
I was gonna say, like, what was your quote about criminality and homosexuality, Finian?
I said any race with a high degree of criminality is going to have a high degree of homosexuality, or it might have been the other way around. I can't remember. That was actually quoted in the ABC. I was very proud of that. The problem was,
we getting there.
They said Stephen Wells said it. I was like, no, I said that.
It's the wrong based guy.
Bloody ABC can't get their reporting right. Who would have thought?
That's the good thing about the fact checkers online is, to make sure you keep yourself on the straight and narrow. You won't fuck up your names and all that. Otherwise, you get actually that.
Yeah, that's one of the best things I think about always having a computer in your pocket. Is people are far less likely to bullshit you because they know you can just check them like instantly.
Does seem a rude thing to do, to check them, and you will be rude if they're right after you check them.
Yeah,
maybe, but still, they might think, maybe when they go home they'll check that, and they're going to know I lied or just made something up. Anyway,
oh well.
Apparently, the nation is still reeling from the anti-migration protests that we had about a month ago now. So, in particular, Indians. And if we remember one of the flyers that was going out promoting the march at the time, it did actually single out Indian people. So they're the ones apparently who feel the most threatened. And the ABC made a point here that the flyer said that Indian nationals have migrated to Australia since 2020. They have been more numerous than Greeks and Italian arrivals since 1925.
Bloody hell.
Probably
Really?
a factual statement.
No, well, hold on. So the ABC said they call this misinformation, and the reason why is because migration data was not kept until 1945. So there's like a 20-year period of missing data. It was like, well, okay, but you can still make an estimate, can't you?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. No, I imagine
numbers too closely.
I imagine there's a census, like we had probably at the end of that period, because I don't imagine a lot of the Greeks and Italians actually ended up remigrating back to Greece or Italy during that period of time. They could also confer, like, oh yes, there was a total amount, this total objective amount at the end of the period, and then yes, you could use migration data after that period. But yeah, no, it's again like even if you fucking concede that, even if you were to chop it down to literally just that period, they used the 100-year period because the Indians in 5 years still blows it out of the water, even if they went to like a 70-year period. Indians still blow it out of the fucking water.
Man, no one in their right mind would say that there has not been an explosion of Indian migration here. I remember I was actually a doctor who was an Indian guy. I heard him complaining about how many Indians were in Australia, right? And I said to him, well, wait, aren't you Indian? And he said, yeah, but I came to Australia to get away from Indians. I didn't want them to follow me here.
Yeah.
So,
which way? What did you think would happen when you came over here, mate?
yeah, I mean, so, you know, this is actually why sometimes immigrants themselves oppose mass migration simply because they prefer to live amongst a whole bunch of white people. You know, I'm sure, you know, the like law-abiding Africans, a lot of them are sort of that mentality, I think. It's like they don't want their relatives to come over because then there's more crime around them.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it makes sense.
you can see them voting with their feet with the BLM collecting money. Is buying housing away from these people.
Yeah. I was gonna say, fucking law-abiding Africans, man, that's rarer than a non-diddled gay.
Oh, it's rare. Yes, of course. So anyway, this article by the ABC, where they mentioned the Indian community in Australia, this woman, oh God, Bhattacharya, she said that now whenever she walks out in public, she's from Sydney, by the way, she says that she keeps looking over her shoulder because she thinks she's going to be the victim of a racist attack. She says that she has been called curry muncher, smelly Indian, and this 7-Eleven truck driver. Oh, that's a new one. Look, I posted a story on the social media sites, and I kind of said, well, look, first of all, when she mentions all these racial slurs, and that she checks over her shoulder in public, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. But if Indians feel uncomfortable here, that's a good thing. There was a video, you guys might have seen it a while ago, about it was an Indian guy who had lived in Australia for 10 years. And he announced that he was going back to India. And the reason why was because he said that Australia had turned into a Nazi country. Now,
living the dream, team.
I mean, that's far from accurate what he said. But still, does that mean that, like, a certain level of unpleasantness towards him, people not being welcome, may have contributed to him making the decision to go back home? If it did, why don't we do more of it? I'm sorry, but it's like when I read stuff like this, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, racism is working then. It's encouraging people to go
Jacob
to making them
video.
feel unwelcome because they're not welcome.
I was going to say, Jacob released a video saying that, like, oh yeah, grog racism does actually cause re-immigration. The only problem is, like, there's an entire fucking subreddit, and I use Reddit in reference to Indians because they fucking love Reddit, man. Where there was like, oh, in r/India, there was like, oh yeah, like returning home, like I returned home, and it's literally just cases of Indians who like had some like relatively decent tech job and possibly could do the job from India, working for like a European, Canadian, or American company, saying like, dude, no, I'm going back. I don't fucking care. Like, I'm going back to Canada. I'm going back to America. I'm going back to Australia. In fact, a lot of them were saying they were going back to Australia because like it was like, yeah, like it turns out like my parents were super wealthy in India and kept me like super sheltered, and yeah, I know like my Western job like allows us to live in this gated community, but like it's like look, the security people like fucking leer at my daughter. They're fucking even the inside of like you know fucking basically like $1 million a year fucking gated community equivalent in India Like, it's still there's still trash and it stinks and fucking, everyone is like fucking disgusting. Everything is dirty. I can't trust the water. I can't trust the food. So yeah.
Oh, their microbiology. Yeah, their microbiology has changed. They can no longer have a dunk in the Ganses.
Possibly. You don't know how many fucking people die of dysentery in India a year that are fucking like,
Does anybody
native
know?
Indians, man. Possibly not, but it's a lot. I know I've seen a number and it was big.
And they just throw those bodies on a big bonfire, don't they? That you can see in like satellite images.
Yep.
I heard the thing about them. I heard them bringing the flesh-eating turtles to get rid of all the bodies and all the turtles dying because of all the pollution in the fucking water.
Oh god. Well, if you're literally eating Indian, then yeah, I can imagine that.
Gonna give the turtles the shits.
Fucking Christ.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting to the end of the year, which means that a new university semester will be upon us in only a few months. And well, guess what? Foreign student enrollments are up 8%. Now, remember, we did have a reduction of around 20 to 30% for student visas for this year, for this academic year. But not long ago, Jason Clare announced that those restrictions will be brought back down. Big Education, of course, thought it should go further than that, and they're going to be allowed more in. But anyway, we're going to have 503,071 international students in this country. Now, something else, though, that's interesting about this is that there is a huge fall in enrollments for people taking English language courses. This could mean a couple of things. One, it could mean that we're getting more people from the English-speaking world. I really doubt that. I really, really doubt it. Those free trade agreements that we made 2 agreements with India in recent years, that's just designed to turbocharge Indian migration to Australia.
Yep.
What I think actually is going on here, back on August the 7th, the government announced that they were lowering the English language requirements for certain visas. So, I think there's like proficient English and competent English, there's different levels. They've made it now so that for a hell of a lot of visas, you only need very basic English. So that means there's basically just no point in these migrants having to enroll in those courses because their English is already good enough to get in. So
I've had European backpackers go through my work that couldn't really speak much of a lick of English themselves. So if they're lowering them even further, it's going to be a point and clap kind of situation.
It's going to be an open bob situation. Don't fool around here.
I think one of the visas is actually partner visas, and that's been a common complaint. I think from boomers, who've married some Thai wife, and they can't bring her over because she doesn't meet the English language requirement. And I remember at the time, the Greens were saying, "Oh yeah, but their English language requirement is about the same as it is for a university student. No, that's too high." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the university students can't fucking speak English either. I mean, I know that because I've got a class with them before. So, no, it's not too high. If anything, it's too low." Now, also in this, they're finding that enrollments for private training colleges, so they offer courses such as childcare, hairdressing, and hospitality, have actually gone down by 4%. So, again, here's that topsy-turvy side of where we're not taking in skilled migrants for the jobs that actually need to be filled. So it's not just, tradies who could be working in housing to build the houses. It's also other areas where we're understaffed, such as childcare, such as hospitality. So I just can't buy that the reason why we're taking all these people in is to fill up these jobs that desperately need to be filled. No, they're coming over here, they're doing bullshit courses, and they become Uber drivers. That's what's happening. And they're doing so in record numbers now. We had a 12-month reprieve of the most minimal effect, and now we're back to turbocharging it all over again.
Yeah, I went on like a kind of a Twitter spat rampage a while ago, saying like, there's only two arguments for migration at all, which is like food and slaves. And yeah, that's very much in the slaves. That's the kind of argument that you're like, well, who's going to be your Uber drivers in the case of Ozzy Osbourne's daughter? Who's going to wash your toilet, clean your toilet?
What did you say about Kelly Osbourne?
Oh, she got in trouble because she was on like The View with a whole bunch of Jewish harpy ladies and Whoopi Goldberg or some shit, and then they're talking about like the need, like, oh, migrants are doing the jobs that Americans are too lazy to do. And then she kind of did a faux pas where she said, well, who's gonna do your garden? Who's gonna drive you around? Who's gonna clean your toilet? And then basically, kind of was like, oh, actually, maybe that was a bit demeaning.
Man, I went to a night out, and there was a guy there who was, I'm not sure what he was. He looked like he was brown, as in like from the subcontinent, but he had an Australian accent, so I couldn't quite work out, which part, of South Asia he was from. But that, I remember that was his exact argument to me. He said, like, who's going to deliver your Uber Eats or drive your Uber and all this kind of shit? And I was like, is that really your argument? Your argument is that we have like, we fill our countries with second-class citizens just to do a whole bunch of shitty jobs. That's what you think is a good immigration policy, do you? And once he thought about it, he was like, oh, no.
Yeah, it always comes down to two things. How good is the food, though? I want my food authentic. I want, like, the culture is like, well, no, you just want the fucking food. You don't really actually give a shit about these, like, annoying, screaming Indian festivals or, like, seeing a whole bunch of fucking, I don't know, Chinese people do, like, one of those Falun Gong protests. You don't care about that. You care about, like, going out and getting some kind of exotic food. That's argument number one. Yeah. And argument number two is slaves.
When I go down to the Aldi and get one of those authentic frozen Italian pizzas, you can just taste where this came from.
If I have to pay that little bit extra for my Uber or my food delivery or whatever, fine. That is a very, very small price I would have to pay. I would gladly sacrifice that.
Oh, you mean wages go up as time goes by and inflation increase? Wouldn't that be nice?
Sorry, we do actually have figures here on foreign students. So 40% are coming from China or India. And the bulk of them would be India.
Yeah. India's been outpacing China and the student foreign student area for about 9-10 years now. Because I remember there used to be tuffles. There used to be straight up fucking fights when I was still going to university.
Yeah.
So you'd get a kebab, walk down and watch the Chinese students fight with the Indian students.
Yes. I remember the campus socialists did like a free Tibet rally, and then they got their shit rocked by the Chinese people, and the Indians, seeing that there was a fight going on, and it was like a race that had a similar average muscle density to them, decided that they were going to go and join in on this fight on the behalf of the campus socialists. Fucking nuts.
I saw the news that had a story about an Aboriginal guy who just got hacked up by an African with a machete. And, I think that sort of racial violence is going to kick off, well before whites do. I mean, because whites don't engage in stuff like that. We don't chop people up with machetes. But, I think that there's going to be a huge uptick in violence between Africans, Aborigines, and Indians, because those three groups all hate each other. It's only a matter of time until it becomes larger scale.
My money would be on the Indians because they can use politics to their advantage in these sort of fights.
Well, yeah, they're by far the smartest out of the three. That's definitely true.
Not a
Oh
little bit of
god,
time.
I really don't want that border conflict between fucking China and India to go fucking hot when we have large numbers of both of those groups in this fucking country.
Well, which side would our nation take? Probably the Indian side.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. We'll be stuck between a rock and a hard place on that one. India is Western geopolitics, but China's our main trading partner. I think maybe the States would let us like slide on siding with China.
Okay. Well, let's move on to foreign affairs. Airbus Albo has been really using his frequent flyer miles. He's been to the UN, of course.
Balmoral
They have
Council.
had their General Assembly meeting in New York. Probably the speech that we all remember the most would be Bibi's. He came in armed with his props and his little signs and stuff and did a pop quiz. I don't know if you guys saw that. And like about 2/3 of the assembly just walked out on him.
All right.
But then the ones who remained, like America and all of those Pacific Island nations, they stayed and they gave him a standing ovation instead.
The strings were pulled and they clapped.
Yeah. So anyway, what did Albo talk about? He talked a lot about climate change. So
For
he talked
fuck
about,
sake.
yeah, he wanted to, he's still going on about that Future Made in Australia program where he wants to turn Australia into a green energy powerhouse and an industrial manufacturing base. You know, it's all that money that they spend on that stuff. If you would actually re-divert that into starting manufacturing again in Australia, that maybe would be a way you could get the car industry back on its feet in Australia. If you did that, that might work. But no, we'd never do
We ain't
that.
got the green industry to fucking start ourselves out. We're gonna export it to places fucking where? America? Are they going green?
They're going
They're supposed
gay,
to.
but that's been an ongoing process.
Well, the two sort of go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, green and gay.
So
they,
look,
what
he
they
talks
call
about the
again?
usual stuff.
Sorry, what do they call it again? Solar punk, more like solar spunk.
So, look, he talked about Gaza, Ukraine. He also talked about Iran allegedly being involved in the anti-Semitic plots that we've had
All
here in
right.
Australia.
So it's that
Which
mainstream. They're not even fucking pretending anymore. They're just throwing that out to basically say, "Yep, it was all Iran. Iran done did this."
so, you know, after months of investigating, like what happened to the Adas synagogue, for some reason, out of the blue, we got a tip-off by Israeli intelligence, and ever since then, Australian intelligence and the Australian government has been saying, "Oh yeah, it must be Iran," just based on
Yes,
this
sir.
like
Thank you,
tip-off
sir.
information that we got.
Very, very good tips, sir. Thank you, thank you. We could never have figured it out without your help, and we'll tell the whole world. We'll crow it from the rooftops that it was them.
Yeah. Now look, I do actually kind of agree that the UN is a redundant institution. It serves very little purpose. It's probably a big waste of money as well. But for some reason, Albo is still lobbying to have us having a temporary seat in the General Assembly, in the Security Council.
What? So we
I'm
can
not
vote?
sure why. So we can vote, but like that one vote is really not going to matter when you consider the veto power of other nations. And look, we just always have to accept whatever the outcome is. Uh, and who is it? It's like America, France, Britain all have veto power. Russia. So if any of them don't like something, they simply just use their veto. But it
Russia.
comes at an
Did that?
incredible cost.
Has Russia faced any consequence for the war with the UN Council?
Just
UN
sanctions.
Council, yeah, just sanctions, man, and that's about it. The thing is, Russia obviously, like a lot of the old Soviet bloc countries still trade and produce for them. They still have a lot of domestic manufacturing because they didn't sell their machines from the Soviet Union. They kind of just kept them in cold storage. Oh, I mean, they allowed them to be bought up by people like Abramovich and etc. Oh, the Abramoviches. But
Lord of
yeah,
War guy.
so what?
The Lord of War guy.
That was Yuri Bezmenov.
Bezmenov, that's it. So yeah, basically anyone willing to pay could nick their own fucking fleet of
the guy who
tanks
owned Man United before the UK said they were going to seize his assets for being a Russian oligarch, and then he immediately fled in his super yacht to Israel, where he currently resides.
For fuck's sake.
Yep. What can you say, man? What can you fucking say? I don't know. So yeah, the sanctions didn't really have much of an effect on them. There's a guy who goes out. Tucker Carlson did this as well. There was a guy who would routinely go out and say, "Well, actually, no, we don't have this product, but look, we got fucking the home brand product from the Russian supermarket that's here because we actually grow them here. We just don't have the brand name anymore." And it turns out they're also packed at the same facility. Read between the lines, it's the same fucking product.
So getting the Security Council, it has its costs, and one of them is that you're expected to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in aid to Africa to feed the starving Africans, as if Australia doesn't already give enough of that. But that's basically how this operates. The UN says, all right, you want to vote, you want a voice, pay up, and let's make it go into a country that won't spend that money on improving their infrastructure. Instead, what they'll do is they'll just have way more babies, and they will be raised in the same standard of shitty healthcare as every other African, and you will simply just contribute to the population explosion, which is going to one day turn into a catastrophic collapse. And then you're going to have an immigration or a refugee crisis, the likes of which you have never seen before. So, if you take that out of the picture, though, wouldn't it be great if we could have a spot on the Security Council?
I love feeding US dollars to the infinite African machine.
Okay.
My African printer constantly runs out of black ink.
Bert.
All right. So, Albo has also been to the UK. He met Prince William, Princess Catherine. He met the King, of course. Of course, he's always asked about the Republic.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
But no, he didn't discuss that with the
he kind of did.
No point.
Yeah, he said look, Australia has no plans for the. Yeah, he said Australia has no plans for the near future of fucking leaving the monarchy. That's what he said.
Well, because he already had a referendum. Yeah, the voice referendum,
and ate a bag of dicks,
and that catastrophically failed. And
let's do another referendum, shall we? See how people vote again.
That's the thing. He's maxed that out. If he had political capital to spend on that, it's wasted. And ironically, if he had the Republic referendum instead, there would have been a way better chance of actually getting a yes vote for that. And I think quite possibly Albo has set back the prospect of an Australian Republic by decades by doing that.
Yeah, I never considered the backlash on that would actually cause that. Yeah.
I was going to say the timing would have been better because when the voice referendum was going on, that's when Prince Andrew was being bandied about as a good friend of Epstein. So
right there in black and white.
And the Queen had died as well, which I know that kind of creates sympathy. But Charles has never been that popular, And I even remember back in '99, where we had that referendum, people were actually saying, Prince Charles is going to become King Charles. and a lot of people did not like the idea of that. So, yeah, they could capitalize on that.
Yeah,
But
they're
anyway,
kind of hoping that Charles would croak before Mommy did in that instance. That was the great hope then.
you know, that there may have been a high possibility of that, considering he was into fucking homeopathy and all that other crap.
Yeah.
He's a real like new age, like alternative medicine wanker.
Oh yeah, he kind of came out with that when he first assumed the position. As yep, I'm not going to change anything. Going exactly how it did before. Welcome to the new age, same as the old age. Just have to retitle everything with king instead of queen.
So,
Yeah.
Albo also went to a UK Labour Party conference because apparently him and Keir Starmer are mates. They stand shoulder to shoulder. We were always told, though, that his real name was Jeremy Corbyn, that like Nazbol anti-Semite. And, of course, Corbyn's just sort of faded into irrelevancy now. So, they both restated their commitment to AUKUS, as you would expect. But what the media were most interested in was their concern about the rise of the far right in Europe. And so this is what they called the low politics of fear and resentment. And Albo has said that he's very concerned that that same sort of far right fervour is going to be imported into Australia. Well, look, it's already here. We already have it.
Yes.
The
One
problem
key
is we don't
thing.
really have a coherent party, and
No.
also like what he calls far right. If you like in the UK context, what he's talking about there is Nigel Farage and reform. That's all.
The buggery party. I was going to say, Finian, there's one key statement he made during that video clip. He said he's been talking with the opposition leader on strategies to stop it. So basically, he was like, he's been talking to the Liberal parties, being like, hey, look, can you guys get your fucking shit into gear? Because your absence is causing fucking problems, is causing a political power vacuum that rightfully should be fucking filled up by radicals. And when I mean radicals, I mean normal fucking people.
Yeah. So look, he said though he's very concerned about the rallies. I mean, Britain's rallies were so much bigger than ours, which is good to see. I just hope we can get up there in the numbers as well. And remember, guys, 19th of October, we got another one. So make sure you get out to that as well. But look, so much of what they call the far right, though, is just, the Nigel Farage types and the Gerd Wilders and that, they're like these super Zionist free market parties who just want more migration to come from the Commonwealth rather than from the Middle East. That's about the only point of difference that they have. So, I hope it is a lot more extreme than what Keir Starmer and Albo are hoping. Because I don't know about you guys, but I fail to see the white pill in whites becoming a minority in their own countries. A lot of people tell me I should take an optimistic view about that because then we'll really start to breed our best people and things like that. But I look at South Africa and I'm like, well, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was
there.
about to say exactly that. Yeah, how's that treated them? They've just taken the policies and put them in reverse while still being anti bloody white.
So that's why I'm so black pilled. If I'm totally honest.
Yep, we don't need to become a minority to realize ourselves.
Yeah. I don't know. I think by the end of this entire fucking process, I'm not sure countries of the West and etc. will exist in the same format that they are today. My only hope is that the people do in some way or another.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to more our neck of to the Pacific. Now, China they are getting their dirty hands even dirtier with the Vanuatuans and of course the Solomon Islanders. So Vanuatu have a new policing agreement with China, and this has meant that the Chinese military have actually been training the Vanuatuan police, using like military tactics, things on like how to hold a chokehold and things like that.
So
they've been doing this also in the
Israel
Islands. And I think last week we mentioned that I think also in the Solomon Islands, the Chinese are going about like fingerprinting the entire population.
Yeah. I think we covered that last time, did we? Or maybe
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
that was in the interim. Yeah. Yeah, dude, fucking Christ almighty. It's like, yeah, okay, so you're fingerprinting the population, training the police, presumably how to put down riots and insurrections. What the fuck do you have planned?
People are concerned. People are concerned about like a digital ID in the UK. And don't get me wrong, I don't like that either. But holy shit, I mean, that's nothing compared to fingerprinting the entire population. And then the government just says, no, that's all right.
Central.
You can trust the Chinese.
Well, again, when we had that fucking COVID pass thing, which I'm very happy did leave, it was literally a handful of months after they said that it was no longer like necessary and whatnot, that they were using that information not only one for crime fighting purposes, but also selling that information. So like obviously the information of, oh, this citizen X went to here, works here, got lunch here, went to this store.
Yeah. And, you really have to point out to people that, like, if you're not careful about how you use your social media and how you use your navigation system and things like that, you have basically already given yourself a very powerful and traceable digital ID. You just may not be aware of it. You've kind of done it yourself. It's a privatized version of it. And you better believe that police and intelligence will use that if they want to find stuff out about you. So, be careful in that regard, because a government led ID system may not actually be up to scratch compared to a private form of it.
Yeah.
Something to consider. Okay. So, let's get on to the whole Israel-Gaza situation. So, Mahmoud Abbas, who is the 89-year-old leader of Fatah in the West Bank, and I guess the leader of the as of yet unestablished Palestinian state, he said that UN states should do the right by the Palestinian people, and that Palestine would rise from under the rubble to rebuild.
Bullshit.
Exported
out.
Yeah, there's a bit too much rubble there.
Dude, the fucking Israeli government opened up contracts for developers to come in and develop it.
Really?
Yes. They are selling it out to Israeli developers. Well, they've already actually sold it out, really. And also there's the thing that they want to, definitely for the Palestinians, there's maybe Palestinian workers will get slave wages, the ones that are allowed to remain and aren't dumped in our countries, obviously.
Yeah, they're going to have to cut off their balls first, though, to make sure that there's no more of them.
Israel wants there's like this. It's not a conspiracy because Israel's actively said that they want to do this. They want to blow up the Suez Canal, but they also want to cut one through Israel because they're really pissed off that the Suez Canal gets like a third of global trade taxes. Or it gets a tax on a third of global trade, and they get nothing.
Oh yeah, once the bloody sites are on fucking Egypt, then they're gonna make Evergreen look like a small tiny inconsequential stoppage when all sorts of bullshit happens to the canal.
Yeah, because there's a pathway you could actually cut that goes through Gaza, all the way out to obviously the Arabian Gulf, basically.
Do you think the Trump plan doesn't sound so crazy anymore, just to build a whole bunch of golf resorts and hotels and everything? I mean, That
That's
might be
pretty much
better
their
than
plan.
what the Israelis want to do, something like that.
Yeah, they're turning it into like a urbanscape and cutting a canal through it.
Oh God.
So there's going to be a port on the front end of it, and also a canal running through it through Israel, and then I think basically out into like the section of the bay that they can get access to on the arse end, and the rest of it is development, so urban development for offices, suburbs, etc. Israel says that they also want to be able to hold 16 million Jews. There's been a lot of ads for the Jewish diaspora to basically consider investing in Israel so that they could actually live there in the future.
Right. Now, I mean, at the same time, Trump is saying that he's not going to allow Israel to annex the West Bank. But, like, Bibi has more or less announced that that's what they're doing because they're ramping up the construction of Jewish settlements in the occupied territories. And, that, again, Bibi has basically said, he's like, you can't create a Palestinian state out of that because we've already, like, conquered most of it. And when it comes to Gaza, we've pretty much destroyed it all. So, there's just nothing there to actually call a Palestinian state. And so that's very much the Israeli method, is to just like to occupy it and to destroy it as much as possible so that the organs of a state can never be formed. And even if other countries recognize it as a state, it doesn't matter because there's not one there. So
it's just a whoops-a-daisy. It's a whoops-a-daisy when your fucking polling center gets bombed. It's a whoops-a-daisy when your government officials get randomly fucking assassinated. We'll investigate ourselves and you'll never hear more about it.
Okay, so
whoops-a-daisy. Tony
Burke, our Home Affairs Minister, who said white nationalists are un-Australian and should leave. He went to the airport the other day, and so that he could personally meet a whole bunch of Gazan refugees.
Yep, here they come.
Oh God! So he's very happy to welcome.
They're not going to be bloody upset at their enemies once they're here. They're going to be upset at you and me, people.
Nope.
No, I don't want them here. I do not want them here. I do agree that they're a security risk, but also they're just Arabs. I don't think Arabs belong here.
Yeah, but how has that treated us in the past, people?
Right. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about things that explode. I'm talking about organized crime and just crime generally. You take more Arabs in, you're importing more crime. Simple as that.
I'm going to be called blasphemous for saying this on the TRS network, but some of the things Israelis do say about Palestinians is true.
Yes, but I mean
they tend to be curmudgeonly, violent, prone to basically radicalism, etc. And people.
All the ones that survived, yeah.
They never say that Palestinians coming to your country is a good thing. And the thing to always keep in mind is you've got to ask yourself, why are these people coming to our country? Well, it's because Israel makes their conditions completely unlivable. That's why.
Just like the war in Lebanon.
Oh yeah. Remember, by the way, with the Lebanese migrants, they were promised that they were going to be Christian, and then some of them were Christian, but
Maronite.
God, some of them, it's just like Maronites and whatnot. Some of them are like functionally ethnic Greeks, but even the ones that were Christian, a lot of them were just fucking Arabs anyway. And there was a lot of them that were like, yes, I'm definitely Christian until being like a year into Australia, in which case, actually,
then they moved out west of Sydney.
Live, yeah.
And my son is going to beat and rape your daughter.
Many of them said that they were refugees when they weren't. They were just taking advantage. Now, obviously, it's a different story in Gaza because everyone is a refugee there. Like no one is safe in Gaza at all. That's fair to say, because you're talking. Last I heard, anyway, about 75% of the country's infrastructure has been destroyed, and that includes about 80% of the housing. And of course, now they've got a program to basically just take out every last standing high-rise tower They're just taking all of them out. So, yeah.
High rise, then
everyone,
small rise, and then you have nothing to live in. If you try and dig down, they'll bomb it for it being a evil bunker.
yeah. Now, at the same time, something that did surprise me was that old New Zealand, who was supposed to sort of be our progressive neighbour to our east, they've actually said that they don't want to recognise a Palestinian state. And the reason why is because Hamas still has a say. Now, I get that. And I've said before that I find it somewhat contradictory for Albo to say that they support a Palestinian state with democratic elections, but no Hamas. It's like, come on, if you have an election, they're going to elect Hamas. Okay, like that's just a fact. Look at the amount of support they have. But
yeah,
no, not
one
New
of
Zealand.
the things, or one of the takeaways you kind of like, and I was talking to Jordan from Action Zealandia about this. You have to take away with the New Zealand progressives is that the New Zealand progressive movement is a function of the fact that it is used as a Mossad listening post. So that makes their stances on just about fucking everything make way more sense.
Yeah, I should point out though that their prime minister is from the National Party, but still, the conservative side of politics in New Zealand is also seen to be pretty progressive as well.
Yeah.
Okay, just final story here. A New South Wales police officer has been charged with assault after he allegedly punched a former Greens federal election candidate in the eye. Her name is Hannah Thomas. She said, she's like, I'm 51 years old and I only weigh 45 kilos. Which, actually, I saw a picture of her. Yeah, she actually does look like she probably only weigh about that much.
Do I have to tell you twice, bitch?
She looked very punchable, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mein, she posted a selfie of it not long after. It was obvious that she was definitely hit. Like, it looks nasty.
I've already fucking told you once. Sorry, I just hate Greens members.
I still, people still tell that joke to this day. I'm like, man, I heard that joke when I was about 12. Is it really still going around?
Oh, yeah. The more that people decry domestic violence, the more fucking edgy jokes become funny. So that's why.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Do you guys mind if I just take a quick toilet break? I'm full of liquid.
Yeah, go nuts.
Sure thing.
You can. As you could guess, dear listeners, our subject of talking about when we weren't talking, when you couldn't hear us, was the food dough.
We're doing a mini racism.
It was pointed out to me that after the 31st of August March for Australia, one of the apparent owns on us was that some people at the march went to a Chinese restaurant afterwards. That was apparently meant to be some big, massive own. They're like, oh, look how hypocritical they are. They went to a foreign restaurant. Oh my god, is that really the best you could do? Really?
Or do we have Australian restaurants? No, not really. No, you can think about it.
Yeah, there's not much choice.
No, Hog's Breath Cafe is gone. Rest in peace.
Still got we're lucky we still have a few over here in WA.
A dying piggy.
Okay. So look, we're going to talk about Pauline Hanson's appeal that she is making. This is going to be to the federal court. Now, we might remember that Mehreen Faruqi did actually win a suit against Hanson when she put out a tweet saying that Faruqi should piss off back to Pakistan. Now, this was under, of course, everyone's favourite section, 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act. Pauline was ordered to pay out, I think it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, because that's effectively what 18C is. It's like it allows you to be able to sue someone for racial vilification or harassment or whatever it might be. It's a tort, civil law. So anyway, she's actually now taking it to the federal court and arguing that clauses 18B, C, D of the Racial Discrimination Act are invalid in full and run counter to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll be making that case. The Race Discrimination Commissioner, who has a name I won't try to pronounce, is actually going to make an appearance, I assume as like a witness or whatever. Oh, God. And this is to protect intersectional identities and to submit that Islamophobia can be considered racial and religious hatred in certain contexts. Well, did Pauline say anything about Islam or Muslims in that tweet?
No. Okay, so maybe there's a case here. Maybe there's a case.
So it says, the Race Discrimination Commissioner said that aspects of identity can't always be separated, and people are often targeted for multiple reasons at once, despite religious discrimination falling outside any legal prohibition. Yeah, because I don't think religion comes under 18C.
No.
So look, if that's actually what was found, like if she was guilty of discrimination for religious purposes, then yeah, I can't really see how that tweet does that. You can maybe see how it, offends someone's nationality, to which I say, so what? That should be legal. But there's nothing about religion in it, not that I can see. Anyway, I really hope she wins that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they actually make a comment on it being unconstitutional, you could even take this to the High Court. Not this particular case, but you could challenge those sections of the Racial Discrimination Act in the High Court and have them overturned.
Well, she's got the interests of actually doing that. She's got the interest to try and do it. So yeah,
well,
it'll be fun to see if they're trying to get her for something that it isn't, and then she fucks over the whole thing, or kind of whittles away its power. That would be pretty bloody good to see. Does she have the balls to do it though?
Well, also, what Jacob Hassant is doing, because he was the first person convicted of doing a Nazi salute. He says that he wants to appeal that all the way to the High Court and actually argue that those laws are unconstitutional.
So that's one of the things I even talked with Tom about today. I was on the interview. I was just like, "Well, do you think that they threw away a handful of your charges because they didn't want you to appeal them?"
Sorry, you did an interview.
Yeah, from the interview ages ago. There was a bit where we talked about some of Tom's charges, and obviously, basically, he got to court and they basically wiped a whole bunch of those new charges under the new laws. They'll put together. They stripped them from that.
You just uncharge somebody?
Yes, they did. They actively fucking did. And and then obviously, like, we both came to the same conclusion. It's like, yeah, they probably didn't want to charge him on that specific case because they kind of knew that it wouldn't really go as hard as they wanted it to, and that he could get it at least defined and possibly even repealed or found unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Bit of a hard one, though, unfortunately.
I fell out of love with Pauline a long time ago, but I still hope she wins that. And I certainly hate Mehreen Faruqi more than I do Pauline. So.
Yeah, I was going to. Pauline's not in our good books currently, but I think we do have to admit that her winning this would be a good outcome.
Definitely. Okay. Let's go to the economy now. So I'm sure we've heard Trump wants to impose a 100% tariff on non-generic pharmaceuticals. So I assume that means things like other than paracetamol, which is causing autism, apparently. So maybe that's what's wrong with me. Too much Panadol.
Have you seen how they fucking sell Panadol in the States? It's literally like you go to a fucking grocery store and you get these bottles of like fucking 500 pills.
Oh, is it? You had me thinking
pills.
It's like when you go to the Coles and there's that section for the nuts, the pistachios, and they all got their little, little carrier thing, and you just shove that into a paper baggie and take that to the chemist bloody checkout.
Dude, fucking, it's nuts, dude. The pharmacy situation in America is fucking nuts.
It's pistachios.
Okay, so look, Australia's largest pharmaceuticals producer is CSL, and they actually said they're not too worried about it because they manufacture many of those products in America, actually. So it may not have such a big effect on us because I remember this was a big fear earlier about certain drugs that are on the pharmaceutical benefit scheme, suddenly going up in price. Now, Albo and Mark Butler have told us that that is not going to happen, but I guess we have to see what exactly these tariffs are going to mean and exactly what products they're going to apply to. As usual with Trump, you never really know what the details are. He comes out and just announces some really wacky policy, and then later on you find out that it's actually quite watered down. So
yeah,
we don't really know exactly what's going to happen here. Although the idea of 100% tariff, like doubling the price, wow, that's that's almost as bad as what we do to cigarettes.
For a health item, yes, that's what you want to do.
Right. I mean, talk about basic laws of economics. When you subsidize something, you get more of it. When you tax something, you get less of it. Why would you want to do that to pharmaceutical products?
Because fuck your shit. It's not like the fucking. It's not like you make a leftist argument being like, "Oh man, we're fucking handing a big L to big pharma." It's like they're gonna get their pound of flesh too. It's just gonna be the cost is just gonna go down to you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that the whole China and their addiction to the baby formula that we produce. Not because they couldn't produce it, but because if you do produce it in China, you're going to poison and kill your child, so you might as well import it.
That was a nuts time, man. Seeing fucking Asian women literally fucking zombie horde into my local Coles and Woolworths. That was fucked.
I remember seeing footage of it. I never actually saw it out in the wild.
I was living in the outer suburbs at the time, and it was happening. It was happening here in WA. Obviously, not as popular as it was in over east.
But he goes out of my memory. I wouldn't know that, but I do remember sitting outside at a cafe during COVID this one time, and with a bunch of friends, and what was it? Seeing these people walk by with two bloody, big old things of toilet paper each, and we're just sitting there giggling to ourselves. Nobody had to say a thing because they knew, these people really need that fucking toilet paper. Never worried.
Captain Clean Ass over here.
Okay. Look, GST distribution is back on the table. WA, we keep roughly 75 cents for every dollar of GST. Whereas in Tasmania, they have $1.40 per every dollar GST, something like that. But look, the other states still always complain, even though we only get 75%. everyone still complains that WA gets too much. So they're forever revisiting that and wanting to take that GST money back off us.
Greedy monsters.
We need to rape you harder. We need to rape you harder.
About 40% of GST is brought in by the mining sector in WA exclusively. Like,
what gives you the right? Being in Western Australia to tax that much? Fucking A, mate.
Oh, God. So, just over in Victoria, emergency relief centres are actually losing a lot of federal money. So, for example, this charity Uniting Victoria, they've had their budget slashed by almost 80%. So yeah, this is weird. I would have thought that these are things that would get increases in funding, and given it's in Victoria, the amount of shitty pork barreling projects that they have, like for the Indian community, building Hindu temples and stuff like that. I thought they'd be able to divert some of those funds, but apparently not. So we're still in this
die on the vine.
And I mean, obviously, our amount of homeless people is going up all the time, just because of cost of living pressures generally. There's so much more people living in their cars and stuff. So you would think that these places would actually receive more funding, but they're getting less. Okay. So onto the housing and the Albanese's housing fund. So this was the project to build 40,000 social and affordable rental homes by 2028. Apparently, we have spent the amount needed to build 8 of them. That's it. So remember, this is a $10 billion fund that was established back in 2023, and it is moving painfully slow. So this is despite the fact that they have actually increased the amount of expenditure by $137 million. So, yeah, I mean, it is actually true that part of the reason for that is because we lacked the skilled labour to be able to build those houses. But, when I was reading the Noticer earlier, I was just reading their article on Andrew Hastie, which is quite good. They were making the point that, like, even when you look at the skilled visas, the people that we're getting in that have recognizable trades that could contribute to building houses is really, really small.
Well, actually, you're talking about the Indian where you're accepting their certificates nowadays. If they were just waiting for those certificates to be accepted, and then allowed the people who had El Shito fucking degree from Bombay, and now they can actually work on it, you probably get a glut of people who are out of practice, have been waiting on it for yonks, and who are going to jump in there just to shit the place up.
Well, I believe last week we had that story from the Master Builders Association where they said exactly that. They were like, what we need to do is streamline the process so that you recognize all of these fake qualifications that people have in India. Oh yeah, that wouldn't have negative consequences, would it? Having a whole bunch of
more untouchable slaves.
No, here's the figure. So Australia's permanent visa program last year, do you know how many? We've actually got a number. This is how many tradespeople it gave us. 166.
Yeah.
And that's out of roughly 500,000 people who we bring into the country. So we brought in 166.
What the absolute fuck? That we're being lied to or something along these lines.
When anyone tells you that it's simply there to fill up a skilled labour shortage that we can't make up for in the Australian market, it's a load of shit. It is not true.
Yep. No, that was one of the fucking things. Someone was charting the tweets and public media or social media posts of this one guy who was part of the Home Department, and so was functionally in charge of the migration set up in this country between 1997 and like 2005. And you can see his rhetoric in like 1997 is like it's entirely skilled migration, and then early on it's like it's nearly entirely skilled migration, and then in the like late 2010s it was just like, well, yeah, but we need people to fill in the lower ends of labor and stuff like that, and then in like 2020 is like it's terrible that we're not importing people, but also like you need to understand that like we still need people to drive your Uber and stack your grocery shelves to now, which is the most recent one, which is since the post World War II period, it's always about bringing over a single skilled migrant with the entire atomic family unit.
Yep. So
yeah, and also skilled or not, he just says passing migratory applicant, not skilled. Sorry, I lied with an agenda there. He actually dropped skilled in the early 2020s.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So, what desperate measures have we got now to solve the housing crisis? So, we've got Shell Harbour Council. They've outlined a plan for mobile tiny homes. So, I mean, before
like the one in Byron Bay.
Well, you can see an example of it if you click on the link. So I mean, we've talked before about modular homes that are sort of like big pieces of Lego that you can put together on a construction site. These homes are actually entirely built, and you can bring them in on wheels, like on a big trailer.
Yep.
They're small, like they look that they'd be even smaller than an apartment, I would say, having a look. But yeah, this is one of the new schemes that they've got to roll out as many houses as they can.
I'm reminded of a Judge Dredd panel in the far future where people are always in their mobile homes, and the bloke leaves the home, says goodbye to his wife, and jumps out of the rolling car that's on the highway in order to go to his work, while the car just keeps driving around the the fucking highway. Nobody has a permanent fucking housing thing unless it's one of those big for fuck's sake. And here you just thought fucking this lot's getting a bit too expensive. We're gonna have to stick it onto the back of a truck and move our fucking house.
I remember fluoride. You also brought up the example from The Fifth Element.
Oh, I love the pod out of The Fifth Element. Just chuck that little, those little dehydrated bars and get the delicious looking turkey come out the other end of the microwave. Yeah, fucking A.
50 years ISO cube.
Fucking give me the ISO cube. I get to live somewhere. Oh, fucking A. People yearn for the ISO cube.
Now, look, this stuff is actually not quite as fantastical as what some people might believe. Okay, I'm going to go to the next story now. This one. There's a Victorian company that wants to construct Ballarat's first ever 3D printed home. And they're working with engineers at Swinburne University to help make that happen.
Yeah. Some people were asking me about that on the live stream yesterday, and I'm just like, look, I had at least I had this like source in my chamber, but basically concrete wants to be poured all at once. It doesn't want to be poured in fucking sections. Mm-hmm. It's bad enough when you have to pour a portico or a balcony separate to the top slab of a house.
To attach.
That's bad enough. Yeah. So obviously you can do things like tie-in rods and whatnot. They're using brick ties, which are these little like metal hook things on these things. It's like, yeah, but like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to go and like render it all through. Like at that point, just get like a fucking handful of bricklayers and just go to town. It might actually be faster, and you won't have to worry about structural issues down the line.
Do we really need windows? I'm thinking of instead of using all this space up for cars and such, because who can afford a car? Why don't we start putting apartments in the basements and such, and 3D print out a wall for yourself down there.
You just have an LED light panel. Live inside the rape cube.
But you gotta have blue cellophane, so you get your system back in, right? If you don't have the fucking blue cellophane in front of it, then you might go crazy.
Yeah, there we go. No, the closer your living conditions get to that of a battery chicken, the better the economy is.
Be like one of those Dungeons video games where you're like digging out tunnels and shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Making homely homes for your little dwarfs underground. Yeah, getting closer and closer to that lava and hoping the fucking the great fucking quadruped with no eyes that lets out a gaseous breath that makes your citizens cough zombie powder. Yeah. Just keep digging.
Yeah, I just hope an Indian isn't the first person to find the Necronomicon, because then we're all in trouble.
Oh no, the poop has taken a life of its own and is coming to kill us.
Oh my god. Okay.
Literally.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Quick story on industrial relations. A guy called Mohammed Sharid Hotak, he has won a case against Uber in Adelaide.
Woo!
So what happened to this guy was he was actually thrown off of Uber for 2 months. And that was after he reported an assault by 2 passengers. Mm-hmm. Now, they made an allegation of threatening behavior on his behalf, which was unproven. And, as a result, they assaulted him. I can't say one way or another if this guy is innocent or not. I don't have a clue. But anyway,
does Uber need to record their do they have footage of their drives? I'm not entirely
sure.
I know taxis probably do.
The driver can put their own dash cam in if they want.
There you go. So he's got no evidence.
Dude, just to remind people, Uber makes you put in an Australian business number, and in their mind, you are no different than any other kind of contractor. They have no responsibilities towards you outside of supplying you with clients. Literally, Uber isn't a ride-sharing app. It's a client-supplier app. Their business model is client supply, not share rides.
Yes. Well, look, that's what they intend. But remember, there have actually been successful court challenges where, to an extent, people have been recognised as employees instead of just contractors.
I think didn't they recognise that one fucking Chinese bike dude that got obliterated by a truck in Victoria on that one Chinese version of Uber?
Was that like the Chinese language version of Uber Eats?
Yeah.
So it wasn't Uber itself; it was a subsidiary.
No.
Fucking A. I got the money to spend on the law.
It was Chinese owned Uber, basically. That's what it was.
Yeah, like a branch of
Chinese
McDonald's.
language as well. It's entirely Chinese language, and it operates here in Australia.
Yes, because that's what you want.
I don't know what they call it now. Oh wait, Panda Express.
Yeah, that's
Bing Panda mode. Bing Panda, get fucking obliterated, you small framed Asian man.
Well, when you think about it, if you can only use the app if you know Chinese, and only that, then you are kind of keeping that money within your fucking ethnicity. If you just go by Panda Express and you're Chinese, so a little bit of solidarity there, people using that, and
racist Uber.
This guy, the Fair Work Commission ordered Uber to actually pay him 2 months of lost wages, and he had been working up to 60 hours a week, so which is actually pretty typical for a rideshare driver to do.
Oh yeah,
and I think it was last week we covered that a lot of these guys
swapping between instances of different ride shares.
So it doesn't look like they've got driver fatigue, and they just keep clocking up.
The meth Uber cycle.
Yeah,
meth Uber rideshare cycle.
which I'm sure is a real thing. Okay. So, on to climate change, which, as I said, was like a hot topic, of course, at the recent General Assembly meeting. Now, China have really disappointed because they said that they are looking to cut their emissions by between 7 and 10% by 2035.
Fucking
Now,
how?
so very low. Now, remember, the Australian government was actually talking about emissions reductions up to 70%. And China is saying no more than 10. So they have obviously set the bar very, very low here. And,
Sounds kind of achievable, actually. If they chuck a filter on every furnace, that would be fucking 10%, right?
well, I mean, it's certainly a more reasonable figure than the ones we usually see thrown about. I mean, maybe China's just being a bit more honest about what we're capable of. When you take out all of that bullshit on like carbon offsets and that kind of stuff, and you really look at it, really crunch the numbers, you're not actually reducing emissions by very much. And maybe China is just being honest about that.
But one China equals 100 Australias in reduction. So, bloody 10%. That's amazing level of better for the environment if they do it.
Well, yeah, and also I think China has the data to be more honest in this stuff, because every time we do like a green energy analysis and etc., we never fucking factor in the fabrication of the materials needed to be green. It's always just like, from the Australian standpoint, it's always like, oh yeah, and our project starts from the installation of solar panels, not the fabrication of solar panels, which is a toxic process. A project starts from the setting the concrete foundations for the windmills, not the fabrication of the fiberglass and carbon fiber composite needed for their manufacture, which is also a nasty process.
Well, I could also see them just playing with the numbers in esoteric manners, as Chinese want to do, not by fucking themselves over, but saying, all right, the interest in people wanting solar panels has gone down. We're no longer making them. Look at this 10% drop.
And isn't China also like the only country that still uses CFCs?
Yes.
Just refuse to stop.
Dude, China uses fucking everything. There's this one guy who's very obviously like fucking butthurt about China as a whole. So yeah, he's a negative source. But he just goes through, he makes a series like China fakes everything, and it's like literally like fucking all this like fake additive shit, and he goes through, he's like, yeah, by the way, this is banned everywhere, this is also banned everywhere, this is banned everywhere too, this literally gives you cancer in 5 years.
I remember that Palestine train crash in the US that basically had all this horrible liquid in the fucking cars. Then it crashed over, and so they set fire into it in order to reduce the amount of shit they had to clean up, which poisoned the ever-loving shit out of everybody around it. Apparently China does have that stuff, but it doesn't move it by rail because it's a bit dangerous. They kind of make it on site before they use it. Some sort of plastic shit it was that went up in smoke. But then again, when you see from time to time the fireworks factories go up in smoke,
oh yeah,
it is localized to one area.
Also, that one fucking factory that just like it literally like mega exploded, and there's some like American tourists in a hotel room like thing going on in the street. It's like, wow, it's like
thrown to the ground,
a fire.
Yeah, it's like factory with the amount of explosions going on in that fucking
that
thing.
was nuts. That was fucking nuts.
Bloody be a veteran of a fucking factory explosion if you survive that bullshit. You must be the fastest sprinter in China to have escaped it.
The seat on the Security Council isn't the only thing that we're going for. Now, Chris Bowen was in New York as well, and he is campaigning to have the COP summit. So this would be the COP 31. He wants that to be held in Adelaide. But apparently the front runner is Turkey at the moment.
The fuck?
They want to spend however much, you're talking about a conference that would hold roughly 50,000 people. And so, of course, they always talk about the tourism that would bring and everything. But then you've got to factor in, like, what are the costs and the cost of security and everything on top of that. Does it actually make a difference? Would it be good for the South Australian economy? Probably not.
Well, have they got a convention centre? A big old convention centre in order to do it?
Yeah.
Because they'll have to build that up. And next online comes... I'm just thinking of here in Sydney. We still got the fucking Olympic Park. It is the area called Olympic Park still to today. You know, it makes it simple to find out where the fuck the Olympics were at the time. And it's still used. I remember going to an Akadaka concert over at the Olympic Park. It's got fucking every year the fucking Easter show. Big old business that as well. So, I mean, if you're going to get some use out of it by having a big old convention centre, might as well aim for it, I guess.
Yeah, but Chris Bowen apparently had a chat with Emin Erdogan, who is President Erdogan's wife, because she was the one who attended a climate event hosted at the UN. Bowen won't say if they actually discussed who will be hosting the COP31. So we'll wait and see.
It's a bit of a race, I guess.
It'll be a great, big, grand conference with a lot of ceremony and pomp going on, and a lot of money spent. And at the end of the day, China will refuse to lower their emissions by any more than 10% by 2035, and therefore it would have just proved to be a spectacular waste of time and money.
Yep.
Because if China doesn't reduce their emissions, there's really no point. Okay? They're by far the largest emitter in the world.
And that's just emissions. We've got all the fucking waste going directly into the sea from India.
Right. Okay, now I think we sort of covered this last week, but Australia wants to really build up our biofuel industry. So they've just announced $1.1 billion to go into that program.
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
No.
Okay, well, they're saying that like they've teamed up with a forestry company who would supply waste, which would then be converted into biomethanol. Apparently, that's how it works. And that's to get to our own 2035 emissions reduction target of up to 70% compared to China's 10%.
Actually, a documentary supplied to me by Fluoride over here talked about how Indonesia tried that and ate a bag of dicks doing it, and now is in like political strife years down the line because of it.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, like making an industry for biodiesel is not really a thing. Okay, so like, and I said this while I was watching the documentary, Rudolf Diesel designed the diesel engine and its fuel system to be used on agrarian lots because an agrarian could grow the precursors necessary for the creation of diesel. Outside of some kind of organic oil, the next thing you need to make usable diesel fuel for a modern day diesel engine is just a handful of catalysts like lye.
Yeah, even people in their yacht, in their fucking dingy little yacht sailing the sea, can get the ingredients and their fucking chemistry set together to, you know, when you're not just using the wind in your yacht to go to just make fuel for your engine. Your little turning propeller. Yeah.
It's not really meant to be scalable to an industry-wide for like consumer production levels. Like it's not like you're talking about volumes of organic matter that are just fucking ridiculous at that point. It was meant so like a combine or a tractor could be run on production from the land that combine or tractor worked on. That was the idea behind diesel and biodiesel.
Fucking ingenious.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to need to still replace the parts every now and then get a fucking metalsmith, a mechanic smith to fucking bang together this part or put together a carburetor breakdown or something.
You mean a machinist?
Yeah, fucking ye olde machinist.
I'm a machinist.
For your particulars, but
that's...
if you're increasing your growth and production by that much, easy you can afford a machinist to get this thing running whenever it's either sowing time or reaping time.
Yeah, no, that's also the theory behind a lot of that stuff. That's why, like, fucking Rudolf Diesel died, one, mysteriously, and two, basically was slandered in a handful of oil-adjacent media publications towards the last 20 years of his life.
Thanks, America. Very cool.
Yes. But yeah.
Um,
But no, I don't think that's a good idea.
I was also wondering, Nolsey, if you were able to educate us on what bidirectional charging is when it comes to electric vehicles.
I mean, it's simple because normally when you have a charging circuit, it normally wants to accept power one way, and there's like the battery management system and whatnot. The idea is then using your car as like a portable house battery for renewables.
Yeah, so look, this is what they've done. This was a 12-month trial using electric vehicles, where they actually just gave these cars to people in Exmouth, funnily enough.
The fuck?
And they let them drive them around for a full year to test the bidirectional charging management system. And apparently it was successful. So
There you go. I mean, you know, functionally, it's a battery. It just needs to have the correct circuitry in there.
Oh, talking about batteries, you've reminded me that China's actually putting out some. I'll just chuck it in the thing here. China's putting out some. So you know the problem with the fucking giant battery that's going to be set aflame if anything goes wrong with it in your electric car. Well, they've developed a way of actually shooting it out sideways. There's a little example of it there.
Oh yeah.
For you. But yeah.
I love those. Like, why the fuck would you need a car to eject its battery out? Like, if the battery's on fucking fire, one, the battery normally costs, like, in terms of production, in terms of the total cost of the car, the battery is, like, more than half of the cost of the fucking car. And two, it's just like, yes, allow me to take my battery fire, which is, basically being shielded underneath my car, and make it everyone else's fucking problem.
Everybody else's problem to be incinerated now.
Oh man, because like literally, like with battery and metal fires, what they do is because like you can't really snuff it out with conventional means, so they use this like non-reactive noble foam to kind of suffocate and isolate it. You can actually suffocate that shit? I thought it was near on impossible. Yeah, you have to use a very particular foam, which I think even has like fucking like xenon gas in it or some shit like that. A non-reactive gas. But yeah, like it's a hyper-specific kit that firefighters carry around these days because they're
more regular nowadays, I guess.
Yes. Yes, they are. God, that reminds me of the fucking the car with the hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells are cool and all, but the hydrogen fuel cells were in like replaceable things. The hydrogen storage canisters were in replaceable things in the back. It was like, it was a hydrogen fuel cell car. It's like, bro, if you got fucking rear-ended in that thing, it'd make the Ford Pinto look like a fucking joke. Both you and the guy that rear-ended you are going to die in a fire.
Especially if your electrics no longer work and you can't open your door. Wind down your window and don't have one of those nifty little hammers in front of your dashboard. Yeah.
Actually, by the way, that's the thing that people should buy. We should buy one of those little glass breakers.
Yeah, it's like if you low tier people have ever been on the bus like I do on the regular, you notice there's a fucking little hammer sitting on the side there for should your shit be fucked and you need to smash open the window.
Dude, fucking lest you suffer the same fate as that Chinese dude who took that e-scooter into the elevator with him and it proceeded to catch fire and immolate him.
Yeah, you didn't get much viewing footage of it, but you could tell what was happening.
Oh yeah, you got like a basically scooter, next frame ball of fire, next clip firefighters dragging out a charcoalized body out of an elevator.
I can only hope it was fucking quick.
Yeah. Fuck. Electric batteries, everyone. Remember, energy doesn't like to be contained in one place.
No, apparently not. Sorry, I kind of tuned out there a little bit, but we
Sorry about
can
that.
continue with. Sorry. Just quickly in Queensland, David Crisafulli, the Premier, they are apparently sticking to the net zero by 2050 target. But at the same time, they're also saying that coal and gas will remain a part of the energy transition. So, yeah, because bloody like Crisafulli just refuses to endorse nuclear power, which, if you ask me, actually probably cost Dutton a few votes in the last election. So he's a cuck on renewable stuff, unfortunately, as most liberals are. So did you guys see Trump, basically just denying climate change? Did you see those
Oh
little
shit!
snippets?
That's
No, I didn't see
sacrilegious.
those.
Or do people not give the slightest shit anymore?
I mean, he was talking about how, at one stage we were warned about global cooling, and then, when global warming wasn't hot enough, we changed it to climate change. I mean, he made some good points.
Yeah, basic stuff that basically, if you're not too much in a fucking spell, will get you out of the idea of wait a minute, or the fucking idea of worshipping the climate changes. We can make a real meaningful shit in ours by crippling our own economies. It's fucking hell. There's space for not shitting up the environment, but that's going to be a worldly bloody challenge, not just.
The ABC wrote a commentary piece on this, and they just sort of had the a priori assumption that this is misinformation. And so the article was saying, how does this misinformation actually get out there? It's not just Trump who says stuff like this. And they mentioned dark money that is coming from fossil fuel interests. So it funds a network of climate denial think tanks.
We're going to also blame this on Iran. I mean, they're interested in the oil thing, so if I can just say it's terrorist money that's convincing people to not be as fucking fanatic on the climate stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, they're talking about how these radical right-wing theories, they start in America and then they spread to Australia. And the ABC is saying, too many Australians are taking on this misinformation now as well.
Oh boy.
Now that ties in nicely to the next story, which is about so the Australian Human Rights Commission. This is another one of these pointless bureaucracies that we piss up so much money on. The commissioner is pushing to outlaw false views on climate change.
Good luck with that. So, you're going to Streisand affect it.
So, the Human Rights Commission's told the Senate that regulation is necessary to stop what it calls misinformation on climate change, that is delaying green action and denying Australians the right to a healthy planet. So they said that they only want to muzzle false narratives, but not to interfere with freedom of expression. Well, I can't really see how you can do that. You can't do both. Well, what do you define as a false narrative anyway?
And I 100% imagine that the highest levels of fact-checking, truth, and ideological neutrality will be applied to these things, right?
Right. Well, look, I don't know if you guys remember Peter Ridd. He was this guy who, a marine biologist, and I think he was based in the Northern Territory. He had been saying that the the coral bleaching at the Great Barrier Reef, basically is a myth, or at least it's the level of bleaching is not as high as what a lot of people claim. And he was essentially sacked from his university position for saying that.
Ooh, I guess he didn't have tenure.
No. So he's one of the people who has come out and said, no, this is basically just anyone who questions what the official view on climate change is would essentially be silenced. And I mean,
They fired
you
a
would know.
professor and created an activist.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you're going to get sacked if like you're a race realist psychologist or something at a university, but there's also a very good chance you'll get sacked if you question the orthodoxy of climate change.
Oh boy.
And that's also one of the reasons why they're always able to tell us the science is settled. And it's like, yeah, well, of course, because you sack all of the scientists who disagree.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's how you fix your replication crisis, right? If people aren't trying to replicate it to prove it right or wrong, then no problem. It's settled. It's settled science, because that's how our understanding of things work, right?
Yes. Okay. Right, so let's move on to the topic of crime. Now, the rate of Australians alarmed about crime across the country has skyrocketed, according to new figures. We also are far less optimistic about the strength of our social cohesion. So only 33% of Australians believe that social cohesion is good at the moment. So when asked about issues that concern them, more than 20% mentioned crime, and that's up from 17% only a month ago. So that's actually a pretty big jump.
I guess people are getting their news from elsewhere, and now you can actually see the crime nowadays instead of be left to the big old telly telling you, "Yep, shit's fine." Well, you got alternative news sources. You discover, oh shit isn't fine.
And also, believe it or not, the amount of people concerned about the cost of living has gone from 68% to 62%. And that's largely because people saying that, oh no, actually I'm more concerned about crime. Now, that should really tell you something right there. We have an absolute cost of living crisis in this country, but there's still a lot of people who say, no, I'm more concerned about crime. That is frightening. That is fucking frightening.
Fucking nuts.
Because what comes after cost of living? You being preyed upon on the streets.
The worst affected state, at least according to current figures, is Victoria. Now, Victoria has the highest rate of crime ever in their history, ever since records began to be kept roughly 100 years ago. Victoria has never had a period of such high crime. Now, they're saying that about 40% of the crime being committed in Victoria in the last year is being committed by only 1% of the population. Now, I am reading this figure from the ABC. They had plenty of still frames of dark hands wielding machetes, holding up shops. But you know what? There was not a single word of discussion on race or ethnicity in this article. And pretty much every other article I've seen here, also coming from the Australian, from the Murdoch press as well, they're not mentioning race. They're mentioning things like gangs are involved, youth crime, of course, and what sort of crimes have had a big spike. By the way, they're serious. It tends to be theft and assault that's going up. And a huge amount of motor vehicle hijackings as well. And, that's like pretty much an exclusively African thing, like the carjacking, getting you with the lights or something.
Again, they just fucking arrested 5 African kids on Burke Street today because they stole a BMW and then they fled the scene after crashing it on the Burke Street Mall. And they fled the scene carrying, no points for guessing,
machetes.
I
thought they got rid of all those.
How do they get them? They're illegal.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there has been an 18.3% rise in crime from the last year and a 22% rise in crime since 2017. So that means the vast bulk of that crime spike has been in the past year only. And, it's pretty much a daily occurrence now where I read about some other African who got shot or hacked up in the ABC. And they always go on about the dreams he had. And, he may have had a bit of a criminal past. See, all these people, like, who actually do get caught up in
He was a
this
good
stuff,
boy.
Let me cry tears of basketballs for him.
sometimes, it genuinely is a case of mistaken identity. However, it's not like that person ran in good circles. They were still gang affiliated. They hung out with all of the wrong people. And, that's how you end up thinking they're someone they're not.
I've yet to meet a Lebanese bloke who hasn't been in a gang before. It's just never happened.
Well, there's going to be a stage where you'll be saying the same thing about Sudanese, because they're
I
all
haven't
starting
met a
their own.
Sudanese person. Full stop. May it continue to be so.
Well, you're lucky. That's probably going to change.
Man.
That's probably going to change.
And we just deport them all down south into Victoria. We've got business to do up in the state of business here.
Oh my God! Now, I posted this one on social media as well. The Australian, right? They're saying no. It's not because of lack of money for African youth programs and that kind of stuff.
For their programs.
Yeah. And by the way, that was the Victorian Liberal Party opposition who was complaining about that, about how there was less funding for African community stuff.
Thanks, Liberals.
The Australian has the answer. The Australian has the answer. It's to do with the COVID era lockdowns and the state of the economy. That's actually right. So here's a quote. Here's just an example from that article. Then there is the lingering fallout of the pandemic. Victoria Police Deputy Commissioner Robert Hill on Thursday said the lockdowns caused disconnection within the community, particularly among young people. The crime rates in the state have increased significantly since COVID, and there's some underlying causes there, especially that relates to young offending. Fuck off. It is Africa. Yeah. It's blacks doing it. For God's sake, no one is out there robbing shops because they got pissed off about the lockdowns. That's just not happening.
If you got affected by it, you're sitting at home playing your video game when you should be out there with your friends, robbing shops.
What a load of crap. So, the reasons given by the Australian are just as bad as the reasons given by the ABC.
Any excuse. From both sides of from the left to the right.
This is because of race. This is because of subhuman black fucking subhumans we bring in.
From the darkest heart of Africa. From the shadow realm.
It's infuriating reading this shit.
You're doing that thing where you're putting on your full bodysuit and descending into the sewers that is the fucking Australian and the ABC news articles.
Yes.
Brutal.
Which is where I get most of my prep from. But I like to stay informed, both sides of the debate, and both sides are equally wrong.
Bless you.
Anyway.
You're informing the nation here. Better than the nation can.
See that Sky News fired that one Jewish lady?
Which one?
Freya.
Freya? I only know Shari.
Fire Up. Yeah, Fire Up with Freya. She was one of these news shows, and then she had a guest that apparently did something too Islamophobic for Sky News, and then they fucking sacked her. She'll be back though. She's Jewish. She'll be back with an apology and we overreacted. We succumbed to cancel culture. Could you please forgive us?
It's a weird way of climbing up the ladder, them getting fired and then getting it back in a better position.
Yeah.
So some guy wore bacon rashers on his T-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. I see. It was an Asian guy who did it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Isn't that equally offensive to Jews, though? Jews don't eat bacon either. In fact, that's where the Muslims got it from.
They're just not allowed to.
Well,
I mean, even if you're a Muslim, maybe if you go into a basement, if you take a fucking pork chop and walk down into your basement, if you're on the ground, God can't see what you're up to.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's loopholes you can exploit, isn't it, to like outsmart God?
Fucking Christ Almighty.
Okay. So let's talk about the illegal tobacco trade in Australia. Never fear, the government is on it, and they've announced an extra $156.7 million to fight the relentless illegal tobacco trade.
It's not going to be enough.
And how many years are they going to turn around and say that this is a racist policy that targeted Lebanese people?
So look, the duty on a pack of 20 cigarettes has risen from $10.62 in 2015 to $28.06 today. Now, but at the
Brutal.
same time, there has been a collapse in the revenue that is collected from tobacco, and the amount of smokers in the country is rising for the first time in decades. So it's having the exact opposite effect in both accounts. More people are taking up smoking, and they're taking in less revenue as a result of the excise tax. So clearly, the current system is not working. And, you know, there are
You're going to be
plenty
having
of,
to
like,
spend more money than you're paying to actually try and chase down the fucking chop than it is to actually tax people. At that point, do they give up? Do they concede the point? Or do they double down and put even more money, fucking more effort, more resources into stopping chop?
well, that's what they're doing. Yeah. Instead of actually reducing the excise tax, they're just actually spending more money on enforcement. It probably isn't going to go anywhere. And, you know, it's not like...
The given reason in Judge Dredd for smoking being banned outside of small areas is for the environment. It's nothing to do with your health.
Yeah. But, you know, like the people who are buying, a lot of the people anyway, who are buying illegal tobacco now, you know, it's not like they're gang members or anything like that.
No.
They're actually like pretty much exclusively law-abiding people who are just absolutely sick of paying these massively high prices. And so, you know, someone says to them, hey, I know this guy who can sell you this. And they're like, yeah, why not?
You don't have to go any further. It's going to be the tobacco seller selling it to you.
Okay. Now, where's this? In South Australia, I actually didn't know about this, but if you contact a survivor of abuse or personal injury without their permission to encourage them to make a claim for compensation, you could face a fine of up to $50,000. So apparently, this is a big thing. This is like sort of, how would you say, freelance ambulance chasing. So this is like, you know, people wanting to cash in on all the different ways you can make a claim, from being injured or being previously abused at like some schools or whatever. And people jump in and they say that they're going to represent you and get you to this big payout. And so this is a big thing. I didn't really know this. Now, I don't know, but I'm going to guess that a lot of the people running these scams are from overseas. Because usually when I hear about any kind of financial scam, nowadays it tends to come from somewhere in South Asia. You know, there was a time when it was pretty much all African, you know, like the Nigerian princes, that kind of shit. But it's moved. It's moved to like a slightly higher IQ part of the world.
Yeah, so there was a doctor recently that was caught and, you know, I guess fined pretty steeply because he was selling his patient's information back to India. And I said that, yeah, probably. I believe they even said for like basically scam call purposes.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is what they call claim farming, where I guess you just try to make as many calls as you possibly can to all these people who may have been a victim of someplace. So, like, I'd say probably a good example would be one of the childcare centres implicated over in Melbourne. You know, like there would have been a shitload of parents who were probably contacted by these people saying, hey, interested in making a claim? You know, we'll get you a big payout.
So it's being contacted and all that. Is that if I walk past Shlomo, I mean, A bloke's billboard sings billboard basically saying a fucking compensation lawyers. I didn't agree to seeing that billboard, or is it direct phone calls and fucking mails directly to me that I didn't consent to? I can go and sue back at them.
So look apparently, so many people who took part in the Royal Commission into child sexual abuse, they've said that they had been contacted by these kinds of people, like wanting to cash in on their suffering.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My God.
Because it's free money, right?
You're definitely not going to be taken for a massive fucking ride.
Okay, now finally, there may actually be a further toughening of laws in the Northern Territory. Now, this came after this guy, this 24-year-old guy, he fatally hit and run 2 people. So he ran over them in his car. One of them actually died in hospital later. He was an Aboriginal man. And the guy who hit them actually bragged about it on social media.
All right.
The fuck?
Now, this guy...
did he do a rap? Because I hear that's illegal. I mean, it's legal to rap and then kill someone.
We're actually being completely fair here. This guy was actually white, and he did run over 2 people, one of which was an Aboriginal. No, they were both Aboriginal, sorry. Both. And one of them died later on. Now, he actually walked away with a fine and suspension, of course, of his driver's license, but he did not get a jail sentence, even though he killed someone. So that does tell you something. Yeah. So even though, you have a so-called tough on crime government in the Northern Territory now, there's obviously still some gaps in criminal law, considering that guy was able to just walk away. And I agree. He should not walk away with that.
I hear it's a moderately common thing that happens up in there. Fucking driving your truck and then wham, right in the middle of the road, they're just taking a rest, sleeping it off, and it looks like a bump until you fucking hit it, or you're fucking too close to actually hit the air brakes, and then wham, poor bastard is brown bread.
Some people were saying that this was an example of systemic racism in the Northern Territory criminal justice system. No, it's not. It's just that their laws are crap, okay? That they do not have a tough on crime platform. And, if anything, I'm thinking that maybe the reason why the laws aren't that harsh is precisely because they don't want to jail too many Aborigines, Because whenever they talk,
I guess they are being racially equal if they didn't throw him fucking hell. That's horrible.
Because whenever they talk about getting tough in a particular area of crime, you always hear people say, "Oh, well, it's going to disproportionately affect Aborigines," and it's like, "Well, yeah, of course it will, because they commit more crime." That's absolutely true. But I say, so what? I mean, what's the alternative? That we just leave it like that, and we let them run rampant.
Let them run rampant. Get arrested the exact same amount as Whitey. You got to fucking check your ticket to say I've arrested this many darkies. I'm only allowed this many whiteys. Fuck. I gotta crawl around the white neighborhoods and see if they're making a breaking a law before I can go back to the fucking Aboriginal lot to get my quota in. Fuck.
Granted, this was a dude on one of those thought-destroying podcasts, so take this with a grain of salt. Is like he's like police brutality does exist in America. The police brutality is giving white guys speeding tickets for going fuck all above the speed limit.
Yeah.
Like there's your police brutality right there.
All right, so a couple of quick stories on infrastructure. There was an investigation into how a live electrical cable came down on top of a Sydney train back in May. They actually found that problem there was identified all the way back in 2020, but was not repaired. Now, I've got to point out that when transport workers go on strike in Sydney, they don't just say give us better pay, although of course that is part of it. Safety comes up time and time again. And there was actually a point in time where I was sort of scoffing about this, and I thought, maybe that's just part of their PR campaign. They're trying to tell the public, we're really just concerned about safety. No, when you read these stories, there's actually a lot of shortfalls in the system. And as we have an example of here, when those are actually pointed out, people don't do anything about it. So, yeah, they do have kind of a failing infrastructure system as well. This is still another area that's linked to immigration, though, because the more people you have, the more pressure you put on infrastructure, and the more money you need to put into it being maintained. So,
the more feet, the more wear, the more money.
Yeah. Okay, now I recently learned, this was quite surprising, that in Tasmania, they have the country's lowest paid politicians. And in fact, a lot of political staffers, like, say, a chief of staff, actually earn more money than their boss, than the actual member of parliament. Now, one of the reasons for this, I'm not sure why this was. Maybe I read about it at the time. I can't remember. But back in 2018, they actually froze their own pay. It was considered to be out of step with others in the public sector. So the politicians actually froze their own pay. However, this was only short-lived. They are now set to receive a 22% increase. So this was after the upper house actually voted to accept the recommendation. But this recommendation,
I take it.
But no, hold on. This is what surprised me. It actually came from the Tasmanian Industrial Commission, which is like the Fair Work Commission at the state level. They actually made that recommendation. So, surprising. The government, the Liberal Party, actually tried to block this, but it got through.
Yeah, fucking A.
I don't know. Maybe this is like the one time I'm going to say, okay, maybe this was a fair increase for politicians.
You're a public servant. Well, your side deals is your big amount of money you make. That and your retirement job, doing nothing. Being a lawyer for some firm, you made deals before you're in the thing. So fuck that for a joke.
Well, I might have a theory as to why the Liberals kind of went against it. It might be one of those class barriers that they use to secure Tasmania as a nominally conservative stronghold. So like, okay, well, it costs X much to live here, so basically, like, if you actually want to be a functional politician in this region of Australia, you have to have this much personal wealth to begin with. You have to have, passive income from property ownership or something along those lines.
Yeah, intergenerational wealth.
Something along those lines, yeah. That's my work. I might be wrong.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair reason for them being paid enough to actually get into that. So it isn't just people who can afford it.
Yeah, so you want your staffers. Yeah, you want your staffers to actually be paid because the staffers are the pleb piss-ons you get to handle your paperwork. But the person that's actually sitting in the seat, well, you'd want them to be a friend of the class.
Yeah, but surely, like, your staffer should not earn more money than you. I mean, that reminds me of, like that episode of Seinfeld where George's secretary is earning more than him, and he flips his lid over it. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but you don't watch Jewish comedy like me.
Have you watched Seinfeld without the laugh track? Having it digitally removed gives a different perspective to it.
It's psychotic.
Jewish documentary.
Yeah, there's just them standing there making the most insane, outlandish comments about things, and then just looking at each other in agreement.
I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but I remember when they had DVD commentary, and like the creators of the show, the writers of the show, would comment throughout the episode. I would like to see that, but done by Kevin McDonald, where like he analyzes Seinfeld through like an evolutionary psychology lens and just goes in depth on it all. I would love to see that. That could be like the new culture of critique book.
For historians
Okay.
to use as an understanding of what was the norm of our times.
So, sticking with state politics, so in South Australia, their treasurer, Tom, oh God, some Greek name, Constantinos, he said that the left and the centre sides of politics are too woke, and that being that woke is driving too many young men away from Labor and other left-leaning parties towards MAGA-style movements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably right. But he said also that Labor needs to position itself as a pro-business party that wanted to focus on the creation of jobs and avoid championing politically correct issues. Look, I don't know if being a pro-business party is really going to be a vote winner for you.
Well, I mean, if they're taking over the liberal, everything that's liberal, bloody get the small businesses on side. What more than big businesses? What more does does anybody need for the Liberal Party?
I think faith in capitalism is definitely on a low point. Libertarians are not influential anymore, whereas back in 2008 with Ron Paul they were, or at least they were like a sizable minority. Nowadays they're not, and a lot of the woke culture is actually associated with capitalism. It's called woke capitalism.
Yeah, it can only be enabled by that. Looking at the gay float with the the PlayStation network on a fucking driving through Malaga. Yep, agreed. It can only be enabled by this gay society.
Don't know. He seems to be thinking of like the claiming the middle ground of, say, maybe the Hawke-Keating years, where it was advantageous to say you were for the market economy and everything, but still for workers' rights. And also just staying out of culture wars bullshit.
Well, not with the people kind of running your stuff, kind of getting in there to fucking get up the ranks of it.
There's even a lot of conservatives like taking a skeptical view on capitalism now, particularly in America. The whole America First movement, and I don't just mean Nick Fuentes. I mean a lot of other people too. They're taking sort of more of a paleo-conservative stance on free markets now, rather than a neoconservative or neoliberal stance. Anyway, let's go to the Victorian Liberals. So we mentioned before that John Pesutto was saved by his own party, giving him a loan of $1.55 million. So this was so he could pay damages to Moira Deeming, who of course successfully sued him for defamation.
Jesus.
But now this is going to court. So members of the Victorian Liberal State Executive are suing the Liberals' financial entity, which is called Vaphold. Okay. And they're suing them over approval of that loan. Now, I don't know if this is out for this, but they're basically saying that the Liberal Party's financial entity approved of this loan without the approval of the Liberal Party membership in Victoria.
Oh, kind of. They did it. Oh, all right. I was wondering if they're going to do with a fucking weird way, but I was thinking along the lines of, is this in the interest of the party? And yes, to keep their shit running, it was in the interest of the, but without their approval, ooh, you might, you might have fucked yourself on that. Fucking hard to say which way. I reckon it's probably on the interest of the people suing them for not asking them. Isn't there somebody you forgot to ask? Oh.
Yeah, because look, plenty of people were opposed to it. They were like, no. They were basically people who supported Moira Deeming. they're like, no, it was his fuck up. He got sued, like, as an individual. It doesn't have anything to do with the party. Why should we help him? But of course, the party did sort of see it as essential because he was going to claim bankruptcy if he didn't get a loan. And if he claimed bankruptcy, he can't stay in Parliament, he would be expelled from Parliament, and they would go to a by-election that Labor could possibly win, and that would be an absolute disaster for the Libs to go through all of that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Now, there's a court date set for this, so it's going to be heard at the Victorian Supreme Court, and it's going to be on the 16th of March next year, which is actually only going to be months away from the next Victorian state election.
Oh, they're going to make hay of that.
It is a very, very bad time, and if the Libs lose the next election, that is 4 elections in a row they would have lost.
So, they're going for the all-time record.
Yeah. So it's not good news. Now, it's also been revealed that the day before John Pizzuto was served a bankruptcy notice, he transferred his share of his consultancy business into his wife's name. As you do. We all know this trick.
What was it, a laundromat business?
Well, no, funnily enough, though, they say that it's like, what is it? Yeah, so it says the threat of bankruptcy doesn't really mean much because, like, the company has no assets. So it says the business was an advisory outfit without assets or other monetary value. So they reckon it just didn't really matter that he did that. It was inconsequential. It was like, well, why did he do it the day before he was issued a notice then? No, sorry, not the day before. On the day. On the day.
Oh, on the day, he decided to do all that. Well, I guess if he took his own advice and said, yeah, they could probably touch it, I'm going to yeet all this money to my wife and say, no, I'm penniless.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
How much of a scheming bastard can be?
ALP. So Stephen Miles, he's still actually the leader of the Labor Party in Queensland, even though he was Premier, but he was only Premier for a few months. He's been criticised for releasing a social media video where he compared the Liberal National Party to corrupt governments in Nepal and Indonesia. So this was a poster like sort of would show shots coming from the turmoil in Nepal at the moment and then show shots of the Liberal Party, which was pretty stupid. Now, it was some people said that he was inciting violence because some of that footage actually had like rioters and that, because they ransacked the Nepalese parliament and bashed up some of the ministers, actually, if you didn't know about that. But the Christofouli government is involved in what they call a job for mates racket, which is where senior government positions have been given to former MPs, donors, and just friends of people inside the LNP. That always happens.
Yeah, I mean, oh no. People they knew personally together, well, and they ever fucking, as opposed to some random, did they put on Seek.com a fucking job application to this position? No, they went to their mates.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like a lot of the time, if you give a job to your mate, okay, yeah, that is quite possibly to do with doing a favor for your mate, but also you're more familiar with that person as well. Like you may well know that they would do a good job. And
your reputation kind of follows on them. I remember first working at my place, one of my mate's kids needed a job. Fair enough. We basically said to the boss, hey, can you hire this guy? And the boss is going, oh, well, if he doesn't do well, I said, look, if he does well, you can fire him. That's perfectly fine. Even his dad will be fine with it. You can fire him if he doesn't do it. Just can you hire him? Do you have a position yet? Or hire him, please. And so he's hired. Yeah, the way of the world is nepotism, and maybe we'd be doing better as a people if we were more nepotism minded, as opposed to
Right. There's a reason why there's Indians at every fucking service station.
yeah, because they're mates and they're being brought over to do these jobs and work as a slave and give their money, their fucking paycheck directly to the owner of the place, as opposed to receive any money. How can you compete with that?
Like a bunch of old guys getting government positions in Queensland because they're friends with politicians. I just don't give a shit. I could not give a fuck about that.
Yeah, we're never really going to achieve the ideal of meritocracy. It's never going to happen because it's going to be mates first. Even fucking these politicians have the idea, people. You should get the idea as well. You probably do if you're listening to this.
It'd be something to worry about if we were in such a fucking retarded situation overall.
Oh, yeah. Then you would be going for meritocracy, gang.
Yeah. All right.
So let's go to the federal libs. Just a quick story in the seat of Bradfield. This was a seat declared for the Teal Independent in the last election, Nicolette Boyle. But she only won it by 26 votes, which is absolute razor's edge. Now, the Liberal Party had actually launched court action to contest this, but they're giving up now. So, I don't know.
Hey, if you drag them back, they're going to, just to spite you, vote the other way. Hey, they already won. Fuck you guys this time. I'm voting the other way.
What they wanted was just a complete recount, which is a pain.
You already forced us to vote once. Fuck.
Okay, look, we already pretty much discussed Andrew Hastie, but I'll just say that I don't know why the Australian made such a big deal about this, but they're talking about how Susan Lee has appointed a new chief economist to her office. His name is Spyro Prometheus, and no, he's not.
One of those millennials.
Is he a video game fucking character?
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
He's
not familiar with the Spyros in Greek.
No, but they're making a big deal on this because this is a guy who has said that the Liberal Party should abandon net zero, and that a lot of climate change stuff is just a load of shit. And he used to be a top advisor to Josh Frydenberg back when he was treasurer. So that's what made me think, is this guy Jewish? But no, he's not. He's actually Greek. So I don't know. I guess they're just kind of saying, oh, isn't it curious that she's gotten this like firebrand right winger as an advisor now? You know, is that there to sort of offset the Andrew Hastie challenge? But I don't know. Maybe. Okay. I mean, if she really wants to upset it, she could say that Welcome to Country is bullshit. You know, maybe she could. That would actually be a big winner for her, because I mean, the voice referendum showed that. Like when you looked at polling later on, people were like, "Yeah, get rid of the voice." Ban
it in your state. Hey, you like efficiency, don't you? Well, there you go. Meetings will come that much faster. Also, promises made, promises kept, cunts.
Okay. Now, meanwhile, everything seems to be very rosy for the Federal Labor Party. So Albo is saying that there is far less factional friction within the Federal Party now. And I mean, you know, the Labor Party were always known for having like four distinct factions. You've got the right, the centre, the soft left, and the hard left. Albo, I think, is from the soft left. I can't remember. I'm not sure if they really divide between the two. Often they're just referred to as the socialist left, which is both the hard and the soft left. But anyway, he's saying that that matters less and less when it comes to making decisions, and even when it comes to appointing ministers. And I think he's probably right. I made the point that when they
Don't you mean
dumped,
soft left?
what's his name, Mark Dreyfus from the front bench, I said, no, this has nothing to do with factional politics, as the Australian was trying to say it was. This was a Jewish member of parliament who upset his own tribe, and they wanted him gone. Because who else did they take off the front bench? Ed Husic, who was the only member of the front bench saying that Israel was engaged in collective punishment of the Palestinian people. So I think Albo is probably right here. I think the factional divisions in Labor are less salient, and funnily enough, they're becoming more salient in the Liberal Party, because simply just talking about Andrew Hastie automatically brings up discussion on moderates versus hard right members of the Libs. Susan Lee being the moderate, Andrew Hastie being the conservative. So, yeah, it's going to be the Libs who continue to tear themselves apart because of factional divisions, not Labor.
All right, so if Labor's got everybody standing fucking in straight lines, prepared to do what the fucking boss man says, let's see them do positives in this country. Bet they fucking won't.
No.
Hmm.
Well, Albo is also talking about his long-term prospects as leader. So he's been commenting on what things might look like, not just after the next election, but the one after that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he should count his chickens, but certainly if the Liberal Party go the way they're going currently, they'll be setting themselves up for another loss, I think.
Yeah, but maybe fucking Labour will do some shitting of the bed in order to equalise the field, because they don't want to be the single party, they want a uniparty. Fucking duopoly of things to vote in, not just the one.
Yeah, but I mean, also, there's no viable challengers to Albanese's leadership. People used to say Chris Bowen, but I don't think he has a chance anymore. Maybe Jim Chalmers, but he's also considered to be too young and inexperienced. So, if he does have a chance, it would be a while off, I think. Okay. Now, onto the federal Greens. So, remember Drew Hutton? This is the often forgotten co-founder of the Australian Greens. He co-founded them with Bob Brown. I think it was back in '92.
Bob sticking it in the brown.
So anyway, he made some comments that, apparently were offensive to the transgender community. And that was, he simply said there should be a debate on trans issues within the Greens. Anyway, he was kicked out of the party that he helped co-found. But he announced a court challenge to have his membership reinstated. Now, part of how he was funding this was through chuffed.org, which was, just a crowdfunding site like GiveSendGo. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? He got kicked off of chuffed.org.
Ooh.
So it's not just the White Australia Legal Fund that gets deplatformed from crowdfunding. It's even members of the Greens who dare to cross the trans community.
There you go. They're a bloc who will stand side by side with each other and be willing to fucking sacrifice people on a whim.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know if is this going to force him to go on to GiveSendGo or something instead, or
that'd be fucking hilarious.
It would.
It would be ironic, and GiveSendGo. Hope they do something funny about it, but allow him on, because anything to fuck over the Greens. Anything.
Yeah. I mean, look, this guy's 78 years old, but maybe in his senior years he will.
They're probably reaching out to him. He's probably getting those calls trying to solicit him to go to GiveSendGo.
Well, in my age, I've become a different kind of socialist.
It would be bloody hilarious if he did get on it. I hope he does. Okay. So, local government. The Mayor of Townsville stepping down. So a member of Bob Katter's party, the Katter Australian Party, his name is Nick D'Amato. He's going to be running for that position
Nice to meet
instead.
you.
So what was this? I can't remember why this guy was stepping down. So it's an ongoing crime and corruption commission investigation. Yes, fake credentials. This one comes up every now and then. So apparently he fabricated his military and his education credentials.
Ooh.
You see this every now and then. They say they have a master's when they don't even have a bachelor's. Like, I guess it's a good way to kind of fake your way into a job. To do that, have like a fake academic history, fake military service.
I was watching a thing in actually South Africa that was the head of transport ministry. Him faking that he got a fucking degree and all that. And what did he do? He said, "Oh, fucking these people in Germany, they want to hire me for badillions upon badillions, so give me a raise," and they did. But yeah, this guy, he fucking the whole fucking train system went under, and they bought fucking trains that were at the wrong gauge for the tracks and too high.
Everything was fucked. Everything was completely fucked top to bottom. This guy managed to, this guy was earning something like it's literally thousands of times the average wage of South Africa. I know that's not saying much, but he was earning like the equivalent of like $4 million.
Yeah, he had mansion. He had a fucking mansion and fancy cars.
Fucking
nuts. Fake credentialism.
Okay, so the upcoming council elections, apparently we've really stuffed them up here in WA. So there are a number of incorrect or incomplete ballot papers that have been delivered. So, jeez. So, I mean, we stuffed up our last election as well.
How do you fuck that up? Did you run out of fucking ink?
Well, at our last state election, they ran out of ballots.
Yeah.
Again.
Because they just keep bringing more people in. You're right. Fuck.
I guess.
You're fucking those fly in, fly out cunts. They were in during the time and they needed your fucking ballot. Fucking outnumbered the people that were there in the state. Fuck.
Yeah, but like apparently there was people who had to hang around the polling booths like for ages, like until they got more ballots in because they ran out. Like,
because everybody stood around and waited because they didn't want to cop a fine.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Which must be extremely frustrating when you just want to go there, tick your box, and piss off.
Yeah, is there any way for me to do this digitally? No. Get fucked.
Man, I love being harassed by senior citizens who definitely really, really want to be there.
Yeah, gotta get in early before they run out of ballots.
Clive Palmer's got to pay more than $13 million after an international tribunal dismissed his claim of being a foreign investor. Now, what does this all relate to? So he wanted to dispute West Australian legislation that was interrupting his ability to develop the Balmoral South iron ore project, which is in our Pilbara region. The WA government, and this was really weird, I remember going through it at the time, they actually passed legislation making it illegal for Clive Palmer to challenge those laws.
The fuck?
Yeah. Which, I mean, even at the time, I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. That's like, that's authoritarian, isn't it? Doing that. Like here
but actually, I come to agree with it again. Seems unfair, but then again, it comes around to being incredibly fair. I mean, if we did the same thing to the fucking people going to Nauru and just yeeted them back to their home country with a parachute, you can deploy the parachute or not. It's your choice.
Palmer said that those laws were targeted and weaponized against him. And like, well, yeah, they were. Let's be honest. I mean, there was only one guy who had an interest there, and it was him. So he also claimed that his financial losses were compounded because he was then unable to sell the project to a Chinese company. So he took this to the High Court.
I just find it more and more fair. Fuck.
So The High Court, though, in 2021 said that the laws passed by the WA government to prevent Clive Palmer from suing the WA government was actually valid. So the High Court said, yes, you can do that. So that, of course, the High Court is the highest court of the land, but Palmer didn't actually give up there. He brought it to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which is an international organization run in Singapore.
Jesus.
So
he
was actually
speaking. Law.
He wanted $300 billion in damages from the Commonwealth over all of that. And, but yeah, it's all been thrown out.
Oh, so it's all done? He has to pay the fucking fine?
Well, look, I don't know if he could bring this to an even higher international body. I don't really know how this stuff works.
Mr. Trump, please bomb these people in Western Australia.
But yeah, it looks like he's just going to be out of pocket at least another $13 million for all of that.
Oh, that's fuck all. He'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's nothing to him. But I think like finally he's actually given up on politics. Like I think he's like 70 now, and like he's finally run out of steam.
It's the usual age for politicians, isn't it? Fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say he's given up on politics. I doubt he'll ever give up on litigation.
Oh no.
What a fun fucking hobby to have. Some people like golf. Like this guy. He likes trying to sue governments.
I just googled this. Clive Palmer is actually taking this now to a higher authority in Switzerland.
Fuck yes!
You fucking called it. You fucking called it.
Oh my god!
I mean, if the some crazy fucking thing in Switzerland, they probably hold sway over things. Maybe if they see him as being abused, fuck, that'll be fun to see the end of.
Their power is what those courts and etc. do in like Geneva and whatnot. And this one in Singapore is they basically they do a ruling. They go like, yes, after arbitration we think this and this, we prescribe this and this, and then they get paid their fee for doing that. And then if it's not done, they go and make like recommendations to international financiers.
That's pretty fucking scary.
No, they basically go to like international financiers and be like, well, yes, I would recommend not lending them so much or giving them a much worse rate or something like that. That's how they do their enforcement.
Decrease their percentage of value by 0.5% on every dollar.
That's how these things quote unquote enforce their rulings. They never enforce their rulings. They just threaten you.
Okay.
They blackmail you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some health news, and I've actually got two stories here that I imagine would actually cause some contention between us and some of our listeners. Not often does this happen. We're usually just preaching to the choir. But this is something...
the audience.
So look, this stuff does definitely divide white nationalists, I've definitely found. So we're talking about vaccines and fluoride. Not our
We're talking
but actual fluoride in the system. Yeah. So
fluoride, he's been a lot of men. Fluoride.
It's probably,
catch him here on the show, folks.
I've been in more men than you can count. Fluoride is bad for your fucking body. However, people being the dickheaded people they are need the fucking fluoride in the system to save their fucking teeth a little bit more. There's been a cost-benefit analysis done by people more clever than me. However, they said it's the way to go. That's why you're chucking it down. Hey?
There's a concerning amount of people out there who just don't brush their teeth.
Yep,
there is.
And the fluoride is the thing keeping your chompers from melting away as fast as they would. As tragic as it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I had for a period, due to circumstances, I was drinking literally only filtered water. Kind of very filtered water. Some of the finalist filtered water you could for months and months on end. When I got back to
reverse osmosis water or some shit. That's like the only filtering technology that really gets rid of like dissolved ions.
But yeah, there was fuck all in it except it being water. But as soon as I got back to here in Sydney, I actually took a drink of the water, tasted it for once because I hadn't been tasting it. It's got the slightest hint of cherry in it here in Sydney.
It's a weird piece of information.
Okay, well, we'll do the fluoride story first. So this is from the Gympie Regional Council. They actually voted to remove fluoride entirely from the town's water supply. So it's been a big debate for the past year.
You can't stop me. I want to be in your fucking water.
Well, they're saying it would cost $100,000 by the process of removing the fluoride from the system.
So what? They're going to have to put actual filters in it rather than just expect the chemical to do its job.
I don't know. Noel, did you have any idea about that?
What in particular about it? Because when you're tackling this thing, well, I mean, fluoride is added depending on and desal. It's added here at the post organic treatment tank. But yeah, fluoride is added. So when I was manufacturing parts for the water corporation, there was fluoride dosing pumps. So there'll be a fluoride tank, and then basically it gets dosed in as water goes in. Simply, how do you get it out? You just don't put it in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, all right then. But I don't know how much it's going to cost them so much because I'm reminded of in the good old days, you used to be able to smoke on planes. When they took that out, you didn't have to have such strong filters to filter the smoke out of the plane, and so you could have cheaper filters in them. So I'm wondering if it was something along those lines. But if you just stop dumping the fluoride in the water and let people get that sweet, sweet, mucky water taste, then
yeah, well, they probably will also have to look at, because obviously there's regulations in regards to water quality and etc. Dosing with fluoride. Fluoride can be a cleaning agent or the fluoride salts precipitating out, basically taking metal ions out of the water source as well. So there's in stock standard bore water, there's shit tons of iron, as you understand. Seawater, there's shit tons of magnesium and calcium and sodium, as you can imagine. Fluoride is and mercury, and fluoride is fluoride can actually drop some of those metal ions out of solution. So I think they probably have to find a solution to clean the water metal ions, which probably won't be good.
So look, I've just read through a bit more of the article, and they're saying that yes, while it would cost $100,000 to remove it, they actually spend $255,000 a year putting it in. So it would be a saving measure.
Nominal saving, okay.
But, however, that's not the only reason they're taking it out. The other reason is because, well, they've got conspiracy theorists in the council who believe that fluoride is like a mind control chemical.
There is some truth to that. There was some studies done, basically like mid-90s, when this was actually something that the scientific community was genuinely taking seriously. They still do today, by the way, but there was actually enough funding circulating around that area for experiments to be done. If you mega fuck someone with fluoride, it does saturate parts of their frontal lobe, and you do get altered behavior from it. So the famous example is basically giving someone a level of fluoride that is borderline toxic. Yeah, they will basically their concept of right or wrong goes a bit skewy, goes a bit fucky.
Oh, is this the experiment to use magnets on people and see if they still believe in God?
Yeah, pretty much, man. So they basically, I'm just gonna put big fucking asterisks in front of all this. I don't remember the name of the experiment, but the experiment was done with an absolute shit ton of fluoride. Not the kind that you'd only get from fucking free basing from the dosing tank. And the people couldn't tell the difference between someone who purposely broke 2 pens and someone who accidentally broke 5 or 6. In their mind, there was no moral difference between the two of them. And yeah, that's because you were basically giving them near seizure levels of fluoride.
Fair enough. Kind of like how they gassed those monkeys in order to show that weed can be harmful on the dosage rate as opposed to long term. They fucking cause brain damage by giving like such high percentage of fucking weed to these monkeys in a respirator that wham bam, thank you ma'am, they were retarded afterwards.
Yeah.
So we've also found there is a nationwide drop in the amount of children getting vaccinated. Now, the report on this says that the number one reason is because of cost of living pressures. Okay, they just like can't afford it, even though it's very often they're offered for free.
Yeah, at school, the fucking weird mumps. Or even just sending your kids to school to pick up chicken pox so that they don't have to have it in an older age.
They're also saying it's because of vaccine misinformation, and they said that the Trump administration is in part to blame for that, in particular RFK, of course.
I think it's because they literally, over the past 5 years, nuked all credibility in the fucking medical industry over here.
Oh, yeah, the damage to credibility. Good fucking point. Because I talked to old fogies who had experience with whatever it was, that thing that put you in the iron lung.
Polio.
Probably polio. And basically, he had friends and all that they got stuck in the iron lung and all that because, it's fucking A. But the vaccines have prevented that. Some of the old stuff was pretty toxic, if I remember correctly. He had mercury in order to trigger your system to see it as an invasive shit, as well as the polio in order to go, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, none of this. I'm going to have a reaction every time I get hit by it in order to chase it out.
Yeah. Again, they had something good running, pre-2020. Pre-2020, like, vaccine stuff was just seen as like weird, like esoteric Facebook stuff. Mm-hmm. Literally in 2022, I was seeing medical professionals that I'd known being like, yeah, probably don't get that vaccine. Probably don't.
I've talked to a doctor who basically explained to me how the vaccine was supposed to work, and it made sense, but it just didn't work that way. Stick it in your fucking arm, and it bloody gives you that dosage. This is the RNA vaccine that was supposed to work. And no, tragically, it just activated it. It didn't sit there waiting to activate. It just activated it then. And fucking tragic. Your RNA bullshit didn't work. And we were the experiment on it in order to get a very faster kind of thing. I think they released a COVID vaccine. It starts with a Z that is using the traditional old method of getting you off the COVID, kind of inoculating you for COVID. It's not the RNA vaccine. And a lot of people, a few I knew, were waiting on that vaccine to come out before they actually took it. Turns out they didn't need to take it. They just needed to outweight the system on its need for you to take the vaccine.
Yeah. That was an argument I had with a lot of guys, actually. They were trying to tell me that, the vaccine mandates were here to stay, and so all the restrictions. Like, no. It's completely unfeasible for the government to do that. It's temporary. They're going to try and scare the shit out of people into rushing them into getting vaccinated as quick as possible. But then after that, it's all away. And that's what happened.
Yep. I mean, they played the fear card. And yeah, it worked. You had your professionals saying, you got to get the vaccine, otherwise everybody's going to fucking die.
Look,
yeah.
I can kind of
see. Go on. I've been talking a lot.
Well, go on. Look, I'm not vaccinated, by the way. I just want to say that, first of all. I'm
against COVID or anything else?
Was he vaxxed?
But I can't remember the last time I got a bloody flu shot. A long time ago. But, like, I'm not as conspiratorial as a lot of other people. I don't think that it was really causing mass amounts of heart attacks. But I also just don't think it was like a Jewish conspiracy either, okay? Yes, you have a lot of Jews involved in pharmaceuticals. That's definitely true. But, they're involved in every bloody industry there is. And remember, Israel was quite possibly the most vaccinated country in the world against COVID. And not only that, but they were actively trying to stop the vaccine from getting into Palestinian territories.
Oh yeah, and that shows their interest in it.
Yeah. So that, like, knowing those things, it's very hard for me to believe that this was like a Jewish plot to poison the world.
It wasn't. However, it was MERS, which has like a 30% kill rate, which is ridiculous amount of kill rate. It
Middle
was
Eastern respiratory.
Yeah, look, my issue was it was rushed. You know, like the speed of which, you know, even in America they called it Operation Warp Speed, and it's like, hold on, I don't trust a process like that. You know, when we're talking about medicine, stuff that we put into our bodies, you're supposed to have the most rigorous of standards, and you can't just rush that process. Like
Instead,
that was
we
my
had
problem.
the most rigorous of propaganda.
Yes, we did, telling you to get vaxxed as soon as possible. Anyway.
Look, as an interest to the country, kind of you lose the old fogey population and the immunocompromised if people aren't vaxxed and they drag it around with their feet. There is also the fucking herd immunity routine where if most people have it, it's not going to spread around, and therefore not everybody has to get it. The fucking people who would have allergic reactions and all that. That's kind of the idea.
It was always inevitable, wasn't it? I mean, like everyone's gotten it now, haven't they?
Probably. I probably had it. Probably had it twice. All the old fucking testing kits I used always came up negative, but they were pieces of shit. I remember I was a high tier person of very import. What did they call the people that needed to a worker of what was it? What the hell are they calling the work? Essential worker. Yeah, I was an essential cunt. I got to travel around when everybody else was stuck at home because I was very essential.
I got saved by JobKeeper actually during that,
Woo.
so
nice.
It wasn't too bad for me.
Yeah. I hope you people out there kind of took to mind that whenever you need the assistance, and if you were jobless at the time, you could go and fucking get that sweet dollary dues that are meant for you, mate. Those dollary dues are meant for you, so you grab them if needed.
Oh yeah,
don't have a big old.
Like, it all depended on the type of person who got it, but you know, like the figures always showed that white people would use that money to, you know, spend on essential items, or they would pay off credit card debt or save it. Whereas you look at the Aboriginal community, they were making like makeshift casinos and pissing the money up. So, yeah.
That and I remember they opened up the fucking, what was it? Your fucking saver
superannuation.
Superannuation. Sorry, I'm having a brand new.
That was horrific.
Yeah, and you buy your $5,000 TV out of your superannuation. I mean, for a stimulus method, very well done, government. For long term, all these people are not going to see that in retirement.
You could take out 20 grand. Like, that was such a
all right, so your 20 grand fucking telly.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, you had some idiots who just cleaned out their super fund. Like, just... That was really stupid, doing that.
Well, I hope into the future that was a mistake. If it wasn't a mistake, then then we're especially the younger of us are fucked. So let's hope it was a mistake.
All right. Okay, so just a few more stories to round out. The NDIS, we don't have full figures yet on how exactly they are cutting costs. But as we know, it's completely unsustainable. There's no way they can continue when I think the rate of growth is something like 12% a year, but the government is aiming to lower that to 4 to 5% per year. But anyway, they keep profiling these people who are missing out on funding. So, for example, there's some guy who got a job, can't remember exactly as what, but he needed a modified vehicle because he's wheelchair bound. So he needs a car.
That allow him to roll out the side of it and go deliver parcels or something.
No, he had actually like a better job than that. Like he was like it was a job as a scientist, I think. Yeah, at the Bureau of Meteorology, he was actually offered work. So,
It's all in test tubes.
he can't use public transport. So the only way he could have actually managed this was to have a modified vehicle. And they said no. So, okay, fine, that's a shame. So look, we've got figures showing that. Well, look, the next budget, they're estimating it's going to be $10 billion in deficit, even though Labor have been turning up budget surpluses for their time in power. But they're not saying like how much of that is being spent on the NDIS, and also they're not saying how much they plan to cut from the NDIS. So, you might get more stories like this. But the main thing is just autism. People keep getting money for autism. That
isn't Trump about to cure that?
you just need to stop taking Panadol. Apparently.
Oh yeah, fucking.
Don't take Panadol. Don't get a vaccine, and you'll cure autism.
How are you going to convince
I'm going to be out here boofing
get off
Panadol? Boofing Tylenol.
How do you convince a population to get off painkillers when all they really know throughout their lives is painkillers to deal with injuries and etc. and inflammation?
You know what? I don't think meth ever gave anyone autism.
Just made them work like autists.
It makes them gay, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Or at least it makes them conduct experiments to figure out if you're gay or not.
You know what? I think meth just makes people do a great service to their country.
I remember working on a work site once. Not working, fucking sleeping on a work site once overnight. And one of the people who was on meth decided, it might have been 11, maybe 12 o'clock at night. So this right now is the perfect time to start up my grinder and start. One of the people was also there. Fucking yelled his lungs out at this guy. But yeah, he saw no problems in the middle of 11 o'clock on a fucking work site in the middle of the near on the fucking midnight to start grinding.
I saw that Cantwell put up a message saying by the end of next week I'll either be in jail or publishing again. So I'm really hoping it's jail.
Oh fuck yeah! What's your money's on jail?
Was it going to be like that little Nas X video for the end? Is it going to be like the white version of that Nas X video?
He's going. What is he going to be publishing? Oh no, you're right. Hopefully he's in jail. Fuck.
He's telling his audience to push Joe Rogan to have him on so we can talk about this whole episode.
All right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think Joe Rogan's too big.
Yeah. Okay.
Jesus.
So the New South Wales government, they plan to raise fines for individuals who break regulations. So it actually means that a staff member can be fined up to $34,200. So, this is all part of the response to the abuse that's taken place in childcare centres. And they're rolling out stuff like this.
You're not allowed to have your phone on you. You get a $34,000 fucking fine if you got your phone on you.
Yeah. But no, stop gays from working with children.
Bottom text.
Then you'll solve that problem. You'll solve it overnight. Now, talking about superannuation, we got some figures. Apparently, the superannuation sector in Australia is $4.3 trillion, and that makes it the world's second largest retirement saving. So, yeah, it's big. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who are missing out because, remember, your super fund can be lost because it's not like it just like sits in a bank accumulating interest.
Yep.
It's used to buy and sell shares. Actually, it's an investment. So some people actually end up losing their money. Obviously, it all
It gets put
depends
into
on
the betting pool. And it seems to be going pretty well at $4.3 trillion.
Yeah, but then you've got a lot of the money that's unclaimed as well. Like the money's there, but they actually just don't really know who owns it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who like are unaware of that. They've got super and it's unclaimed, and they're just oblivious to the fact that they can claim it. So, but also we've had the collapse of First Guardian and Shield managed investment schemes, and that's led to the potential losses of more than $1 billion for almost 12,000 Australians. So, yeah, that's an example there about how your super money can actually just go, can just disappear.
Oh.
Okay, two quick stories to round out. At the UN General Assembly, you had an Australian mother who made, I guess, what you'd say, a pretty moving speech about social media. She had I think she was a 15-year-old daughter who was a victim of social media bullying, and she ended up taking her own life. So her mother now is basically spruiking the government's ban on social media for people under 16. And you see, Australia is basically leading the way in this. So she made this speech to the UN telling other countries, you should adopt what we're doing. Because otherwise you're going to see this continued rise in teenage suicide, particularly of young girls. They're the most vulnerable ones, which is true.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The bloody...
yeah, I'd say that probably a good idea to follow us on that, as long as we can actually enforce it properly.
There's your celebrity
my
culture you
largest,
promised.
my largest concern is, and this is a pretty classic one, it's just like, oh, well, this is how they introduce like a digital ID. This is how they make sure that your entire internet activity is tied to your, I don't know, your citizen number, your driver's license number.
Okay, and final story is on, well, the arts. The arts in Australia, apparently.
The things that keeps the society together, the arts.
Well, supposedly. I mean, okay, so we're talking here theatre, paintings, museums, all that kind of stuff. All the kind of stuff that runs at a loss. And they're talking now about tax reform that can see the industry through these challenging times. Now, look, less and less people want to go out to these crappy plays and art museums because they're just shit.
Tampon and a canvas. This is what we're being given.
Yeah. Anyone who's been to a contemporary art museum will tell you they're just fucking crap. So that it's obvious that they can't survive without taxpayer money. Now, I'm not like completely opposed to that, like the government sorting it out. Like in the Third Reich, they basically outlawed all degenerate art, and they funded like actual, real, wholesome art museums. That's fine, but if it's to the point where only a small amount of hipsters is interested in it, something's going wrong. So, it's not just about giving them financial relief. It's also like, can we improve the quality that we have as well?
Relatives of mine went to a family, and they went to they went down to Melbourne actually to see a fucking art exhibit, and some of it was good. They were enjoying some things, and then here's a picture of a naked man probably bumming another man. And fucking they've got their young family there and quickly walk past it, but the woman of the family goes to the lady at the front desk and bites her head off about having sexual explicit things in front of children. That's what will always be done. They can bite the poor lady off.
I went to the Contemporary Art Museum in Sydney, actually. I don't know if you've ever been to it, Fluoride.
I haven't. I've been to a couple of museums. I would highly recommend everybody goes to the Powerhouse Museum here in Sydney because it's autistic kind of thingamabob.
Huh? Sounds like it's where I should have gone because this. When I was in the Contemporary Art Museum in Sydney, I remember there was this. I walked into this room and it had like a film projector that was projecting an image on one side of the room and another image on the other side. And on one side, it had a woman who constantly had tennis balls being thrown at her, and every time it hit her, she like looked like she was in pain or something. And then on the other side, it had a whole bunch of people who were dressed up in weird costumes, and they just continuously said, "What do I do? What do I say?" over and over again.
Oh, I kind of understand the background behind that. That's the bypasser effect. Yeah, they're trying to induce people to do something when they see the bystander effect and something horrible's happening. I can appreciate it on a big brain message, but I can also see it as something that is disgusting.
Well, you were able to come up with an interpretation for it pretty quickly. I had no fucking idea what the hell this thing was.
Oh, it must have been shocking. It worked, kind of.
That's just one example, by the way. That one, like, that sticks in my memory. But basically everything I saw in that museum I thought was shit.
I probably know the one you're talking about, and I may have been to it once with me mum.
There was cafe in it. I was gonna say there was like the Banksy art exhibition here in Perth a while ago, and I was talking to Scratch about this like a bit ago because now it's past. And I was just like, dude, I could have gone in there with a bucket full of fucking turds and a slingshot and produced more meaningful works of art in like a few minutes.
Yeah, you remember the Chaser? The Chaser did this thing where like they just went and got like a mattress off a curbside collection, and then they placed it in a museum and gave it a name. And all these people were actually gathering around it, like nodding their heads, going, "Yeah, it looks good, I like it."
Yeah, trying to interpret it. Doing their damnedest. You got to be part of the people who, and if you don't want to look silly and not be able to interpret it.
One of the writers for the Chaser, now that we're taking pot shots at our parody namesake, literally has him sucking a rainbow dildo in his profile picture.
Which one is that?
Oh God, he passed me a bit ago. Big fat fucking small patch of blonde hair on the top of his head. Whichever that one is.
Got me thinking, these are supposed to be comedians, right? Well, burgers.
He's a fat one? I didn't know there was a fat member of the Chaser, though. Like,
yeah, fat and fucking has like a Norwood 500.
Oh, man. Okay, I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
I'll be on fucking Twitter tomorrow and I'll fucking find the guy, I swear to God.
Okay.
His shit just because I like fucking rage posted it against him once and he replied to me once and then like now his shit just shows up on my fucking timeline periodically.
My God.
I haven't seen it while you've been rolling. You have to direct me to it. We'll scroll up and down him on an episode of Peng. What do you say?
Yeah. We'll end up fucking finding the shit, I swear to God.
All right. Well, I thought this was actually going to be a short one for you guys because we only...
Yeah, it's still today. You beauty.
It's still
yeah, it's still today. It isn't tomorrow.
Yes, it is. And we started this one a lot earlier. So, yeah, this is good. Now I don't have to just spend the rest of my life making the files and uploading them. I can actually go off and enjoy myself for a bit. So, yeah, no, good episode. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Nolsey and Fluoride, for being here through it. Thank you to everyone for listening. Have a look at our stuff at theracer.biz, and we'll see you next week.